Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. Because everybody knows video games are very adult.
Well, of course they are. And we got Pragmatic Crystal. Jenny's in the chat, I see. So what are you doing there? You guys in your...
There are definitely video games that are not for children.
Yeah.
And there are even parts of Fallout. It's like, this is not for kids.
Let's see. Robin Webster and Deep State Annex and Amali.
Well, even all the way back to the 8-bit era, there was a strip poker game for the Commodore 64.
Well, I was going to say, in Fallout 2, it's like they introduced gambling and prostitution, and that's been part of every Fallout game since.
All right.
And they really played it up in New Vegas, because, oh my god.
There's Jenny.
There's Jenny.
Well, no, New Vegas.
Princess Barbara!
Of course you have to play up that kind of stuff.
Why is it Slave Jenny today?
No, today it's just fascist states of America.
Yeah, as far as fascist states, did people hear that the city of Miami managed to cancel their election this year?
Yep. I heard about that.
It's a fascist state of America. That's the way it goes. Y'all voted for it out there. Not you guys, of course.
I didn't vote for it.
Yeah, well,
not people in our chat, but out there in the ethereal.
Yeah, that's the problem, is whether or not we're going to be able to have a midterm election.
Well, Miami, wait, it was just the city of Miami that canceled their elections? Why?
They wanted to, want me to address it? Well,
go ahead.
They wanted to adjust the elections to be in even years instead of odd years. So they align with the presidential election.
These are the guys who have problems counting to 3 anyways, so.
The justification is that since it'll fall on a presidential election, and so they'll get more voter turnout then.
Mm-hmm. So that was their claim, but this was
their claim.
Yeah, this was done just by the people who were, whose term of office was going to be running out.
Yeah. So they gave themselves an extra year.
Yeah, they didn't actually let the people who live in the city, know about it beforehand or anything.
Yeah, they didn't let the city vote on it or anything. They just arbitrarily decided, okay, we're just going to do this for an extra year.
Yeah, that sounds
why would they tell anybody?
That sounds to me like something that should have been a referendum on the ballot. But
considering it's local, you can hold a referendum on that and get them out of power anytime you want if you get enough signatures.
Assuming they actually listen to any of that from you. Y'all are just citizens. You don't matter. Only they matter.
Why would they listen to me? I don't live in Florida.
It was kind of a rhetorical statement, not you in particular.
Well, I'm thinking a few things that I probably can't say publicly.
Yep. Who forgot popping in now?
Should I hit it? I hit it.
Whoops. Sorry.
I don't think we've discussed Donkey Kong at all.
Hi.
It's a game. We're talking about games. We talked about games for a whole 2 minutes.
Then again,
I missed the topic? Oh, fuck.
No, we didn't really get to it yet. We said on it was that there were some video games that are definitely not for children.
Now I feel guilty. Patty's here, and I still haven't seen her show. But yesterday I set the alarm for it, so I won't miss this week. I hope.
Yeah. Oh, we don't actually have one this Friday. I'm sorry.
Well, I said it for every week the rest of the year. So one of these weeks it'll work out. I'm so sorry.
I put this one on my calendar too.
Yep, I did get to meet Nancy at the ARC protest.
Yay! I I know. It was so fun. I love that.
Okay, Patty, is purple really a triceratops that's purple?
Well,
Yes,
Patty
yes,
wasn't
yes.
there, just Nancy.
Wow.
I
Wait,
saw the pictures though. Yes.
That's what I figured.
Didn't you see the picture I posted of her in like the chat?
Did I?
Jenny should have.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were talking to me. Nobody ever talks to me.
Well, that's because most of the time you're accusing us of talking over you, which, to be fair, we do, but not intentionally.
Well,
Yeah,
I was kind of shy about the pictures because, my facial feminization surgery isn't quite finished.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got the sense that you weren't into having your picture out there. So there was one picture where you were like in the back but turned away, and so I put your avatar popped
Hold
it
on.
on. Yeah.
I'm gonna do a facial reveal here if I can get this.
Well, while you guys were at the Ark, I was busy playing Duck, Goose.
So
Oh,
everyone can see what purple looks like.
Oh, wow. You look just like your avatar. That's amazing.
If Mage wants to share it.
I don't know why that doesn't want to open for me.
I don't see
Make large, that might be the issue.
I don't see anything.
yeah. It's
I
not
did
sharing
see-
your image to us yet.
I did see one picture. Nancy had a picture of you in there,
I don't see.
purple, but you were kind of looking at the camera like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. So I was like, all right, I won't use it.
Yeah, I really wish they wouldn't do that. The issue was the way they did it. The issue is the way they have the file saved. It's jpeg.large, which is an idiotic way to do it.
JPEG.what?
jpeg.large.
Oh.
I see.
What?
Yeah, that happens a lot, especially taking pictures from Twitter.
When I send a picture email, or I should say when I send a number of pictures email, they will ask me what size or file size do I want to send. I always pick the largest because most email programs don't have an issue with that nowadays. Is that what they mean? That
No,
if it was smaller, it would say it's small?
The problem is the extension.
Yeah. I wind up just renaming all of those to get rid of that.
Still doesn't like it on my end for some reason, but I did see a picture of purple.
I saw a picture.
Lovely lady.
I saw a picture of purple in the flesh, so it kind of wasn't an actual picture. It was kind of flesh.
I've got a couple in my camera, but I haven't gotten them into my computer yet.
Maybe Discord did better.
Is my sound okay? I have a fan running. Just
Sounds
wanna make
fine.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah,
It's
you're
brilliant.
Okay, I'll make sure it's not.
Nice and crisp.
Oh, good.
All right.
Yeah.
Discord did
The
better.
background sound of the fan isn't that bad.
So now everyone, you'll
we
have
can
the
hear them.
important. Oh. You'll have the important purple facial reveal.
There she is. In all her
Facial
stuffy
show.
glory.
What am
Whereas
I
I still don't
missing?
see anything under you're not presenting anything.
Oh, that's because I thought you needed. That's because I thought you were doing that.
Well, you need to click it first for it to appear here for the owner or moderator to put it up.
Or you could come to each of our screens and paint a picture yourself.
Yeah. I did do, as Angie is pointing out, I did do a face reveal a long time ago, but that was years before I started transitioning, so that one's not accurate anymore.
And here we have her picture.
There we are.
Oh,
There's
Yay.
Sloth Girl. Yep, Sloth Girl proxy had to come with for everything.
I like the hat.
that was her drinking hat, wasn't it?
Sloth Girl doesn't drink that much. Well, except margaritas.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you can go a little overboard.
My drink of choice has been Tullamore Dew Honey.
And remember, everyone, I feel the need to say this for some reason. One ring to roll them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all in the land of dark, and in the darkness find them. Like I'm in the Lord of the Rings for some reason.
Well, my one ring is the whole rainbow flag all around it, so that's the one I wear most often. So, what's everybody's favorite video game? Let's get back on the topic.
Fallout.
Lunar Lander.
I remember that one.
I think I usually like to play a lot of the classic Final Fantasy games.
Fallout New Vegas.
When you say that you're referring to like standalones in the bar or on computer or what?
Well, just all kinds. But yeah, I go back to when we had actually had to go to the arcades for most of them.
Yeah, in those days it was Lunar Lander, and for home use, Pong. I was pretty good at Pong.
I've written Pong in Scratch. That wasn't difficult. All right, so I want to inform everyone that Captive Desk does not look anything like a piece of furniture.
Yeah, I was disappointed, but not only does they not look like a piece of furniture, he wasn't wearing the manacle. So
Okay, this is way over my
nor
head.
did he seem captive.
I'm very, very confused now. Not just a little as usual, but lots.
Captive Desk was one of the people at the protest.
Yep.
Oh.
And he does not look anything like a piece of furniture.
Although Stool's resemblance isn't very strong either.
Unfortunately, I guess it makes JD Vance very, very sad.
I was at a rummage sale this weekend and almost bought Stool.
Sonic wasn't even my favorite Sega game. That would have been Phantasy Star 4.
Is Stool here today? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the guests.
Stool is not here right now.
Haven't seen him yet.
But Molly's here. Hi, Molly.
Molly is here. Captive Desk is here, and Robin just popped in.
And everybody is just a first initial, not even a second initial, just a first initial on my stinking little phone. I need to get a new phone so badly. I saw Pragmatic Crystal was here earlier.
And I see Tori.
And Robin. Hi, Robin.
We need to get you internet and get that laptop set up. I assure you things will be a lot smoother once you get that set up.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at this this personal hotspot thing that you can buy. It's from a company called Royco. I think it's affordable. The device itself is $50, and then it's $13 a month for access. But it's only a 4G, which is what I got now. So that doesn't make sense to me. But the difference is that if I want to run my iPad, I have to attach with Bluetooth. Whereas if I were to get one of these, I would be attaching to that with Wi-Fi, and so it would be faster in that respect because it's the Bluetooth between my phone as the hotspot and the iPad that slows everything down badly.
Well,
I ran on speed test and I get about 110 on the phone.
Ideally, you don't want that. You want wired internet if possible.
Yeah, I would love to have that.
Plus, hotspots like that are usually extremely limited, and you might as well just use your phone.
Yeah. Well, my ability to get Wi-Fi has been reduced. My dear sister-in-law, who has provided me very generously with phone service for the last 10 plus years, has had to withdraw. She's getting old like somebody I know, and is on limited income now too. So she just couldn't pick up my bill. So now I suddenly have a $60 a month phone bill.
Oh, surprise!
Yeah, no shit.
Ouch.
I mean, I'm not griping because she did carry me so kindly all those years.
Who is your carrier?
AT&T. It was a family plan.
Is T-Mobile available where you are?
I would imagine, but
I would switch to T-Mobile because you want to use it as a backup backup internet, which I do when we get storms knocking out our power. It's much better for it than AT&T.
How do you judge that?
Because the speeds are faster, they don't throttle as quickly, and throttling isn't guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, most companies will throttle after about 10 gigabytes.
Yeah, I
wanted
to
still throttle over 10 gigabytes, but it doesn't do it automatically.
I wanted to hook up with the Mint Mobile because I've always had a thing for Ryan Reynolds, but their service just isn't adequate enough for heavy internet use.
Well, if you want something a little bit cheaper, Metro is by T-Mobile.
Well, are you not signing up for the new Trump Mobile?
Oh God!
No, I'm pretty sure I didn't. I figure if you go with Trump Mobile, the phone will ring, but there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
This is now a real thing, people. Trump is starting his own cell phone company.
I love that we all sighed, just not in unison.
And they promised that all their phones will build their own phones, and they will all be built in America, which is another lie because it would take at least 5 to 10 years to develop another plant capable of building phones.
Yeah, they were already caught on that one.
So, which part of America is the province of China in? Because I must have missed that one.
British Columbia, I understand.
I just want to say I'm with Angie Dell. I'm terrible at video games. I'm the one that would take the controller and be like, "Get over this way."
Yeah. Me too. I don't play many video games just because I know I'm never going to get to any decent level.
I have only actually owned 2 computer-based video games. One was, I think it was called Dark Crystal, back in the 8-bit days of Macintosh, and today I can't afford it anymore because I'm not on Wi-Fi. But PUBG, I loved PUBG. That was a lot of fun.
I quite enjoyed playing the Breath of Fire games.
Well, I used to play Zuma when it was the PopCap games. So I got that on Steam now, so I play that occasionally still.
Oh, and in fact, the mage in my name comes from Final Fantasy.
You know, I probably should write another game eventually at some point.
I would just rather play with a human instead of a game.
Giggity.
No giggity necessary. That's flat out true.
Well, most games force you into playing online in multiplayer, whether you want to or not anyway nowadays, so have fun.
I played the world's first online computer game. It was run through a Genie network, which competed with
AOL.
AOL. Yes, thank you.
Prodigy.
Except it cost more, and we played it again. This is the 8-bit Macintosh days, black and white stuff. It was $8 an hour, and yeah, it was expensive. But I had a job and everything back then, so I could afford that stuff. But there was as many as 125 people online at the same time, divided into 3 teams of different countries, and it was called Air Warrior, and you went and shot each other down, and stupid stuff like that.
Well, little fun fact: Mario was first introduced in Donkey Kong.
Yep.
Really?
Well, that's why I picked Donkey Kong for the graphic. Yeah, it was Mario's first appearance.
Why was it called Donkey Kong? I never saw a donkey in there.
Donkey Kong was the villain, if I recall. He was the one throwing barrels down.
Yeah, he was a donkey.
But
Well,
I thought it was a gorilla.
Yeah, originally the title was Monkey Kong, and I don't remember what was the reason they had to change it.
Well, King Kong was a primate, not a monkey.
All primates are monkeys.
Monkeys
Well,
are
all monkeys are
at least.
primates. Not all primates are monkeys.
Yeah, all
A gorilla is
primates are
actually
monkeys.
a
That's
gorilla
what I
is a
said.
great ape, so it's not a monkey.
No, great apes are still monkeys. It's just monkey. It's just that apes are a specific subset of monkeys.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought monkeys and apes were the two different groups there.
Nope, apes are a subset of monkeys.
Let's see. Apparently, it was to indicate stubbornness.
Does anyone remember a game called Donkey Kong?
I didn't
Monkeys
hear
and monkeys and apes are both primates, but the main difference is that most monkeys have tails while apes do not. Additionally, apes are generally larger and more intelligent than monkeys,
Mhm.
which is why we are apes and megas are monkeys. You see?
Yeah, Porpoise, which game were you asking about?
Does anyone remember the game Donkey Konga for the N64?
Vaguely.
It was an early rhythm game. It came with its own set of bongos.
Oh, that's fun.
I remember it existing, but I never had the game console.
Don't think I ever played that one.
I remember playing a game called Alley Cat that was on one of the computers that had like the 8-inch floppy disks.
Oh
And
God!
the whole Alley Cat game was made up entirely of like normal characters.
8-inch
Yeah.
floppy. Boy, you're really old.
You sure it was the 8 and not just the 5.5 inch?
Oh,
Five
it
and
was
a quarter.
definitely the 8 because we had
Five
the
and a
5 and a
quarter.
half also. Yeah.
A woman knows how many inches are inches.
No, that's why women are bad at math. Because
What?
of what men keep telling them is 8 inches.
Oh. That's funny.
What are we breaking in here?
My soul. I'm pretty much down the toilet now, and
Oh, hey, Amber.
I don't know that I'll be back.
Ah,
Well, we keep trying to flush and it's not going down.
so, did you see that
Oh
Maggie's
God, I had such a terrible clog this weekend. Like I want to mention that. Never mind, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
quickly
so.
changing the topic?
Hashtag,
see-
hashtag real life, guys.
Did anyone see that right-wingers are now upset that Superman is an immigrant?
Wasn't he kind of
Oh.
always?
He's illegal.
I was gonna say, it's like, how can
He's
you
an
not
alien.
get this? He's literally from another planet. It's like that.
Literal alien.
He's a literal alien.
They tried to take him
Yep.
away, but he kept busting through the night ties.
He did arrive without any papers. And he was adopted by an American family, but yeah, absolutely no papers to indicate his place of origin.
Well, I don't think he should be allowed to be a citizen. Then he's obviously broken the rules,
Oh my gosh.
and his stepmother, and father should be put in jail.
Yeah.
I don't think they're this adoptive mother and father. They're not stepmother and father.
No, they're adopted.
And I heard that Supergirl was trans.
No, she wasn't.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure where you got that from.
Well, you've just been given the wrong information.
And I've heard that P equals NP.
Well, Optimus Prime was Transformer, so
Yeah, but so was Megatron.
Well, there is a comical video out there where Megatron gets boobs.
And there are plenty, I was gonna say, there are plenty of people out there who think Starscream has a humiliation kink.
Probably does.
yeah.
Where,
Well,
where do they go when they fold it up into whatever?
Shrinkage.
Okay, all right, I can buy that.
Okay, and every trans woman wants to know about that episode in Pokemon when they were in the beach contest. You know, where did James get that rack from? I
Listen,
mean, he must be wearing one hell of a binder in all the other episodes.
there's long been a fan theory that James is a trans man.
Yeah,
I have no idea what you're talking about. Pokemon. I know. I mean, I've heard the word certainly and seen the pretty little cards and stuff, but
well, just
I have no clue what it's about.
But
one of the main characters, one of the main villains. You know, just looks like a normal guy most of the time.
very effeminate, though.
Yep, and in one episode, enters a beach bikini contest and has like a set of double Ds.
Wait a minute.
James is one of the antagonists. It's a part of Team Rocket.
How do you put a beach into a bikini?
One grain at a time.
I don't know. I thought there's been a lot of beaches that wore bikinis.
From my understanding, and people complaining beaches get into bikinis all the time.
What do you call a sandbar off the coast in the ocean or Lake Michigan even? It's a son of a beach. I'm sorry. I was inspired by Sloth Girl. I apologize.
Well, don't apologize as long as you give it a sloth.
No, hers are better than that though. That's
Not all of them. You people didn't hear some of the ones she ran by me before she tried going public with them.
Patty, are you familiar with who Sloth Girl is?
Yes.
Okay.
I have
okay.
not. I didn't ever know her, but I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't want you to be going, what the fuck are they talking about?
I was pretty sure that I had told you and Nancy about her, so.
Yes, for sure.
Just remember that the unbeatable Squirrel Girl beat Galactus through the power of conversation.
Before she passed, Sloth Girl sent me a bunch of embroidery supplies, and I mean it's not a huge amount, and that's just fine. Doubled what I had, but I want to do one of those like antique type samplers, embroidery samplers that they used to do in like the 1700s and stuff like that. I mean, those things get $50,000 nowadays.
Yeah, and I can't believe in the werewolf game, no one caught on that I actually was this year and was actually pointing to someone who was a werewolf the whole time. Sorry, unrelated.
Yep. I got late in that and got given just an incredibly lame character, so I didn't really get to play.
All right, I got a question. Well, this is actually going to be more of a discussion. I hope if the chat would please get involved. Purple, I sent you a DM, which I'm sure you saw, that said I needed to talk to you about the show. Okay, well, we're going to do it publicly now. God damn it. What you guys don't know in the background is I've asked a couple of people I've known from TikTok who are, some are legitimate professors in colleges and stuff teaching things like anthropology and other sciences. If they would like to be on the show, because I know that they're good humored and very, very intelligent and all this kind of, they could contribute well. Well, there's another woman I've come to know on a DM basis on Twitter. Her name is Dr. Helen Weberly, and she is the founder of a group in the UK known as Gender GP. They're one of the big, of course, supporters of the LGBTQ community, and have done battle with the Parliament and the cast review people and all that stuff. Well, her and I struck a bit of a note conversationally, and I asked her if she would have any interest in being on a show. And she didn't answer for a couple of days. And then a few days later, her staff wrote back to me. So, and said that they would be thrilled to be on our show. And they'd like me to send some links to some of the previous shows, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
I was going to say, obviously, they don't know what our show is. If they're
Well, no, I
it.
described it very honestly. That it's just a bunch of idiots that like to say dirty things and explore legitimate topics from time to time. And they actually kind of enjoyed that concept.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'm not
I
an
know
idiot.
that all these people I've asked in the past have not shown up, which is like, okay, it's slightly embarrassing, but they weren't announced, so nobody knew until now. But this person, I mean, she's definitely high end in the community and as an educator and advocate and things. So it would end up probably being a more serious show. And I would like to pair her up with some of the other experts I've come to know on TikTok and things. And I wanted to know from y'all if that would be something that would be too serious for us. Okay. Would that be something that would interest the chat? Or interest the people here on the panel?
Amber says she knows who you're talking about, apparently.
Yeah, yes, Amber, you're correct in that.
Okay, Jenny,
Yeah.
in all honesty, I don't think this show is right for it, but why don't you start your own channel?
Well, no, I have done some, some special shows on serious topics. I usually do those as weekend specials rather than the normal showtime.
Yes, but I don't think this show is right for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've had some very intellectual discussions on this show, and they've been broken up with the extremely cad-like behavior of some of us, myself included, and I find that to be perfectly acceptable. Because we're all just people, and I don't believe in total formality, even for education.
Well, as long as they know what our show is like before they come in here.
Well, that's why she would like some links, and I wanted to ask you for shows that you might suggest because I don't remember your library of stuff, and I hope you would.
I really don't remember, what we talked about in any of the particular shows.
Oh, drat.
So yeah, I can't tell you a particular episode that would be better to see here.
Okay, well then I'll have to just peel through some memories and see.
Yeah.
This falls more into a talk show and more of a comedy at times, just because we're just goofballs.
Well, my vision for it would be not terribly dissimilar to like a TV daytime talk show where people are getting an expert on and talking about this or that. I wouldn't want it to be that formal, and I would want, I guess, most of the interaction to be between the experts and stuff, so that we're learning from their vast knowledge.
Yeah, sounds to me like you want to start your own channel.
No, but I've been a part of this one for how many years now, Perp? 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 100?
Well,
I don't know.
I've been doing this for a bit over 7 years.
Yeah, and I've been here pretty much since show 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you probably came in the first couple of months.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I certainly don't have any ownership of the show, but I would certainly like to be able to contribute on more than just a talking head that says little.
You have a voting stock.
Oh. Okay. If I you think if I get made really drunk, I could have 2 votes then?
What, you haven't been getting your dividend checks?
No, I haven't. Oh, but I have a piece of good news in my life. Ooh. Some people at the hospital, some of the staff got together with my doctor and stuff, and they all brainstormed and stuff. And I'll be going in on Friday to begin the formal battle to get my drug coverage back.
Well, I hope you win.
I hope so too. They are fairly optimistic about it and think that I should be able to have coverage by August 1 again. So
that would be good, yeah, to make sure you can get all your medications again.
I know that Thorazine. I'm so tired of the hallucinations, No,
Damn it, pink elephant, get off my back.
I take no phenothiazines, honest.
Ask your doctor if Thorazine is right for you.
I prefer haloperidol. Thanks. Actually, I don't think either of those are used anymore. They were really nasty freaking psych drugs back in the day, in the 70s.
My brain isn't working well enough to come up with the big words today.
Ember, yes, I would love to have the panel asking questions, but also the chat, especially if they know ahead of time what's coming and they could prepare some points of interest that satisfy their curiosity. I'm new to this concept too, so I can't say exactly what I'm wanting to do.
Like I said, I have had some shows on serious topics, that I've invited a group of people from our community for different things, just for people who have different reference angles.
Yeah. One of the difficulties of the scheduling of it is that, as I said, Dr. Weberly is in the UK, which is pretty easy because when we start, it's only about 8 o'clock there.
Yeah.
But Dr. Gelbell, which is her screen name, is in Sydney. And so it's about 5 or 6 in the morning for her. And she has a job at the university she has to go teach.
We can work this out. I've done this before. I'll have to remember how, but yeah, we've had Australians and UK people in the same show before.
Yeah, I think it would be a difference of like 1 or 2 hours. If we were to go 1 or 2 hours later, the morning people are going to be the difficult ones to satisfy. Staying up late is not a big deal for most folks.
Yeah, well, depending where in Australia.
Sydney.
Okay. I'll have to check what the time for that one is, but it's probably like 14 or 15 hours ahead of us.
It's 15 hours.
Okay.
I've checked all this stuff.
Okay.
And Hawaii is 3 hours for me, and Alaska is 6. So, no, 5. 5, excuse me.
I thought Hawaii was 4 hours.
Nope.
Okay. And this is why I go and I use a time converter when I'm trying to schedule it for people on different continents, which is a lot of fun when I try to schedule the Christmas marathons.
The biggest difficulty is going to be in the future. I heard that Trump is going to ban clocks, so that we don't know when he's supposed to leave office.
As his dementia increases, how do we know that he's not going to ban clocks? Seriously, someone just needs to invoke the 25th Amendment on him.
Are you seriously?
Yeah, but that basically has to be a vote of the cabinet that he appointed.
Well, he just needs to get a mustache.
Oh, Jesus.
That's not going to make him any less suffering from Alzheimer's.
Make him go away. Ew. Thank you.
I can't. I'm out of toilet paper.
I'm just worried we're going to end up with like AI president. So we won't even know if he's like not really around.
That might be an improvement.
Cool.
Actually, Grok's not doing too bad. Grok seems to be fairly liberal.
Mecha Hitler is fairly liberal.
Well,
Or did you miss that bit? When Elon tried to tweak it and Grok became Mecha Hitler.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, here, I got some toilet paper for you.
Perfect.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower. The kids love it.
The face with a rectum.
Well,
Awesome. You make him kiss your butt with that.
Yep.
I had said that the UK.
This is a real thing.
If I had that toilet paper, I would try to get diarrhea.
Yes, this is real toilet paper you can buy.
Oh yeah, I know you can find it on Amazon.
I wonder if they sell it at the Trump store. There is a Trump store that all the guy does is sell Trump crap.
There's more than one. We passed one on the way out of Kentucky.
Oh really?
Oh,
Yes,
my
and
God.
pretty much everything in it is made in other countries.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Purple didn't see me give it the finger, but
Yeah, well, those famous red mega hats are all made in China.
And by the way, all the problems down in Texas are Biden's fault. Just in case you were wondering.
Although Do you know how hard it is to find an American flag that's made in the U.S.?
There's a company that is advertising incessantly on television right now, Allegiance Flag Company. They haven't discussed their politics, but by the word choices, it feels like they're probably fairly mega. But that's just a guess, and I don't want you to think that I know the fact about this. And they're selling flags that are 100% made in America with American materials, but they want $100 a piece. You know, and most of the people in America buy these cheap things from Walmart for $6. You know?
Yep. Well, and that's what's going to happen if everything has to be made in the U.S. and they have to pay, even minimum wage for everyone.
I saw this flag once at a historical site in Wisconsin, the Wade House that was from the early 1800s before sewing machines and stuff. And it was all hand stitched, and I've always wanted to do that myself, just to have done it.
Mm-hmm. Totally, me too. I had this whole idea for a while that I was gonna hand stitch a bunch of like period costumes and use them to like do activism work, where I'd go out and like, I'm a person from whatever year, and I'm here to tell you to stop doing what you're doing to the environment. I don't know. It was not a great idea. I got as far as making a Greek peplos. And I went out there with a big sign that looked like it looked like a bank, but, columns with like some climate activist QR codes on it. But that was as far as I got. It was fun, though.
I would love to have a handmade costume, which actually is not going to be a costume in the near future.
I have one right here.
I don't.
Ooh.
I used to know a trick for folding that you could get, a perfectly even 5-point star just by folding the fabric a certain way and just making one cut.
That was part of my concern. How do you make all those stars the same size and everything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got to do it on both sides, and so wouldn't you want to sew them together at the same time?
There you
go. Oh, that's so cute. I know that's terrible to say, but those are really
terrible. I know. It was disconcerting, though. I did go out in it to protest against ICE, where I just walked an intersection. And it was a little disconcerting when I did have one heckler, because I'm standing there like without peripheral vision, which obviously is the point of these things. But yeah.
Horses wear those too. Modified. What material did you use for the cape?
It's just like quilting cotton. It's a double layer. My kiddo a few years ago wanted a witch costume cloak. So I did one that was double-sided, and I was like, let's make the inside red, because I have this funny feeling I'm going to need it someday. Wah, wah, wah. Look at, there you go.
Yeah, so it's $43, $43.99 for that one, $59.99 for fun costume, $12 for the hat.
I don't know if I'd consider this a fun costume.
No, it's a political statement. I live in a red county, so I have lots of opportunity to wear that.
So it's like between about $50 and $60. There's a $40 one.
Yeah, I bet it was only a little less than that to even just buy the fabric to make the one I made years ago.
Back in the 50s, my mom was a registered nurse, and of course in those days they all had to wear white nylons and white shoes and white dresses and a white nurse's cap, which is basically this very heavy cotton that was starched as stiff as a board and then folded in a special way. God, how she used, oh man, she worked so arduously to get all those things right all the time. I miss mommy.
Okay, I found a site with instructions on how to do the folding to get a 5-point star.
Oh well, whip them out. Come on, share it.
I did. I just dropped it in the YouTube chat, but
no, put it on screen.
No, don't put it on screen.
Well, I also
in the
put
YouTube
it.
Chat is best.
Yep, I also put it in the Twitter group so that you can get from that later.
Oh boy, goody. I'll have to get my sewing machine going one of these days. I want to buy a new sewing machine. I want to get one of those. I think it's a Brother 7000 or something like that.
That's fun.
There are some impressive ones, but
Mommy
Yeah.
taught me how to sew, but it's been such a long time. I pretty much have forgotten everything that's of value.
I've been
And she
trying to
never
relearn.
and she never taught me how to set the machine correctly.
My mother tried to teach me how to play the piano.
She was just making sure I didn't put my fingers in the wrong spot.
And made me take
Sorry.
organ lessons once.
I'm pretty good at the organ. Not the musical instrument, but anyway.
Well, I've heard you're in demand on 3rd Street. In the alley.
Speaking of which, I should probably contact the friend I have who said she was doing sex work to make ends meet. And I tried to say, it's like, hey, if you want to do this more legitimately, you can use sites like Chatterbait and OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I saw this T-shirt today. I could not believe I'm in Southeast Minnesota and seeing this. There's a company local in town here in our glorious town of 900 people that does landscaping, excavating, snowplow, all that kind of stuff. But they're well known. They have a few staff people. It's not just one guy, and they're called Ole's Landscaping, which everybody here is named Ole, it seems, or Lena. And
Magnoli.
Minnesota jokes.
and the T-shirt was, they had their advertising on the back, bright yellow thing. On the front it said Ole fans.
Yep.
Ember. I don't think it's pronounced Ember fans.
No, it's just such a perfect parody of OnlyFans. It was just
Oh,
like,
that's great.
No, Ember.
what the hell? In a red county? You're saying that? On your chest?
Wasn't there a ton of bumper stickers in Minnesota? There was when I lived there that were yellow, and they said something about, was it Sven and Ole's? I don't even know what it was.
Well, yeah, Sven and Ole jokes are a Minnesota thing.
yeah, okay.
Except they're mostly Ole and Lena, aren't they? Well, I suppose there could be gay Minnesotans too. They're allowed. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, yeah.
Sven and Ole are, just the two buddies that go fishing and camping together. Okay. Lena is Ole's wife.
Well, I was at having breakfast this morning at the Norski Levsa restaurant in Rushford, and I had an Ole's breakfast this morning.
So great. There's a food cart here called Viking Soul Food, and it's like lefse, and it's wrapped around other types of foods.
In Oregon?
You just don't hear about lefse very often. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Viking soul food.
I still haven't had any left.
Yeah, it's a
Phrase.
fusion.
But it impresses me like it's pretty much like pita bread.
Mm-hmm. A little flakier, a little more
Flaky.
potatoey, I think, right? It's more potatoey.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to try some one of these days.
I haven't made homemade potato bread in a while. Of course, to
They-
make it the way I make it requires a microwave, and I don't have one.
They do a lefse breakfast wrap at Norski. I'll have
Ooh.
to try that one of these days.
That sounds good.
Okay, Captive Destiny got a nice bump on subs since the protest. I haven't gotten any. Although a couple of weeks ago we finally did break 700.
Yay.
Darn, I've
Yeah.
only got 11,300 followers on Blue Sky. I'm sorry.
11,300. Wow,
You
that's
do?
impressive.
Yeah, I do.
Well, hey, I created an army of sock accounts. I had over 700 sock accounts, and that's what got Not Your Witness and Surus past their first 1,000. The problem is I can't get most of them to subscribe to my own channel.
Aw. Patty, are you on Blue Sky?
I am. I think I followed you, so I'm one of them.
Oh yeah,
One-
yeah. Duh. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
That was a week.
I
that
mean,
was a
there's
week
so
ago.
many.
I
I don't know how you could tell I'm in there. Sorry.
I only have 87 followers on Blue Sky, but I'm not really that active.
I pay close attention to special people.
Then again, I can't.
I keep hoping Blue Sky will get their groups going because Twitter is getting more and more annoying.
Yeah, the Mecha Hitler thing was kind of obnoxious.
Well, also the spammers have figured out a new trick for sending DMs. Is instead of sending them individually, they send them as though they're making a group, which means that you can't delete them without notifying the person who sent them that this is indeed an active account.
I don't get it.
Basically, it means that it's an actual person rather than a bot, and they're still there.
Yeah, that
You
it's
guys-
not an account that's been abandoned or anything like that. There's actually someone there to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's gotten to the point that I'm getting about 10, 12 spam DMs every day.
I thought I was getting bad with the 3 to 5 a day.
That's annoying.
And just the whole thing is that Twitter doesn't give you a way that you can just delete those without the person being notified.
You can block them, however. Just about all you can do.
I keep getting followed on
Yeah.
Twitter by a bunch of megas all the time.
Actually, my follower account on Twitter has been going down, but that's because I've been removing a lot of Elon Musk accounts.
I don't know what that noise is.
Spell on me.
Is someone sharpening a spear?
No, I think it's Mage descaling a tarpaulin or something.
Well,
Trump came out with his perfume and cologne.
Blech. Sorry.
And, well,
Ember, if necessary, I'm going to keep a spear ready. And if they come to get us, I'm going to shout out like the line from Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song, to fight the horde singing and crying, Valhalla, I am coming.
I was looking into getting a spearhead I could mount on a pole.
okay, but Trump came out with his cologne, and I don't know how the most obvious one have been missed. Of why hasn't there been a fragrance release called Elon Musk?
Someone probably has somewhere.
Boy, we know somebody who lived this life way too long. That's pretty good. I like it.
Oh, come on. It was only about 58 years.
Oh man.
I used to really like Jovan Musk. That cologne. I thought that was great.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Elon Musk put out a perfume from the Boring Company called Burnt Hair.
Oh my god.
That sounds a
Ew.
repugnant desire.
Oh God. I don't even want to think about that.
Okay, my unfinished journey says I've lived in Minnesota for 25 years and never had lutefisk. Do you have any recommendations?
Don't.
Yeah, the only recommendation for lutefisk is don't.
Yeah. Do not even think about trying lutefisk. People who like lutefisk hate lutefisk. Okay.
Because my mom's side is Finnish, lutefisk is on the table for every big holiday gathering. And personally, I suspect it has been the same plate of lutefisk on the table every time for the last 25 years, because I don't think anybody's tried to eat it.
Oh,
My mom fixed our family lutefisk once when I was a kid, and all the kids, all three of us, got sick to our stomachs, and my mom and dad, my dad hated it, and even my mom, who cooked it, didn't like it.
Isn't it like soaked in lye solution or something?
Yes.
I'm a
Well,
soap maker. Like that's the most toxic chemical in my life. Like
This is your
why?
I thought it was
Well, that-
turpentine.
traditional
the whole
Scandinavian
point
dish.
was, that the fish was soaked in lye as a preservative, basically, so it would last all year. So then,
if
so
the
then
bugs,
part of the
if the
process,
bugs won't eat it, why would I want to?
well, part of the process of making it is that it
No,
has
at least
to
the
be
bugs will
washed
eat
like
Scrapple.
6 times to get all the lye out of it.
Let's see here. Traditional Scandinavian dish made from dried whitefish, typically cod, that has been treated with lye. That sounds so lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have never been able to get past the smell, so I have no idea what it tastes like.
For the record, I'm Pennsylvania Dutch. I have never had lutefisk, but I would also recommend not eating Scrapple.
Oh, see, I've had Scrapple. It was tolerable, at least. I didn't like it, but it was tolerable.
Yes, and the bugs will eat Scrapple.
It's kind of like a cross between bacon and Spam.
I'm not even sure if I'd
with
put
maybe
that.
with a little haggis thrown in.
I'm not even sure if I'd put that lutefisk in my compost.
No, it
No,
would
you-
not
you-
be good for
Seriously.
your garden.
You'd kill your garden.
Well, there's a story about how lutefisk came to be. And we have
No, it's not.
maps
That
and-
song is not true. I read this. Oh gosh, I don't know if I should go into this. Yeah, what the heck? At an unusual time in my life, I was reading this. Yeah, you can keep playing that. I was reading this list, this guide, this paper. I don't know what it was about suicide and the various methods that men choose, women choose, adolescents versus adults, seniors, blah blah blah. And one of the things that they discussed, rather grossly, was if you did this method versus that method, how long would you feel what you've done to yourself before you turned off? And it was really frightening. They've discussed a thing like a guillotine, that the person submitting to that was probably hung around for 2 to 4 minutes, knowing what happened. Yeah.
I can believe
That's horrible.
And they said the same with cranial gunshots, depending on where it hits.
Most people just notice the theme to MASH.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've seen the movie.
Though I remember somebody talking about they were in a horrible accident where their friend's head got decapitated, and they were just laying pinned in the car, or looking at their friend's face, and just watching the expression go from like this confused look and then finally fading out.
Yeah.
Most people don't actually know the title.
Suicide is painless.
Yep.
That's why I said no. It's not.
Well,
it's
my last attempt to make it painless is I tried to turn a closet into a gas chamber. And,
oh, that's sad.
Opened up a couple canisters of propane.
Well, apparently it didn't work, and I'm glad for that.
Me too.
Yep. Well, my first attempt was taking a random assortment of pills, and yeah, that made me very nastily sick for a while, so that wasn't fun.
I had a firefighter. This is like high school time, bullshitted me, and I believed it because I was just a stupid kid. And he said that most people who try to use natural gas to as their agent of death, and in those days, 3/4 of the population smoked, and they said they usually don't die from the gas. They usually die because they get bored and they light a cigarette.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well,
That's
I'm
sad.
sorry. I shouldn't have brought this topic up. It's getting rather
Let's
dark.
not give advice on how to do it.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said,
Well, I'm
Mo-
just I'm not so much giving advice as that there were 2 ways I attempted and failed, so those are not things people should try.
I was going to say first of all, lyrics were only used in the movies, and they took it out for the show.
Yep.
Oh.
I can imagine why.
Because network TV is cowardly.
Well, it's also because the movie was more dark humor, and the show was just more slapstick to start.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
In the movie, it did have a place because there was a big part of the movie was one character who was going to finish himself off, and they found a way to get him out of it eventually.
I always liked how MASH sometimes was, very, and I think of this show when I think about this, how generally it was just as haha yuck yuck, but every once in a while they did a show that just ripped your heart out.
Yeah.
But also, it's a fairly easy song to learn to play on the harmonica for whatever reason.
Oh, Ember.
I don't play the harmonica.
This didn't need to go dark, but for those of you who remember it, this was the official harmonica of disappointment. And if you remember that, geez, you've been around for a while.
I'm not going to ask about the sword usage or application thereof. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
I'm a little. I'll also confess to everybody because I'm just foolishly open. I'm have this kind of on the surface of my heart and thought lines these days because I'm writing a paper, and it started out as something I wanted to share with my shrink about depression and my path of depression in my life, but it inevitably got into offing oneself and 2 attempts back in college. And it's been real interesting to explore that in myself in a way that the psychologist can't do because it's all internal and these memories that I've never shared with her because I never had them at my forebrain in therapy.
Mhm.
It's just been real interesting how the onion is peeling itself. And I'm gaining insights, and it's actually kind of helping my life and things. Don't be afraid of contemplating about yourself, folks.
Yeah.
Just don't let it get away from you.
Well, I hadn't tried to do anything to delete myself since I gave up being Christian.
Ooh,
So
that's interesting.
yeah. Once I chucked the Bible, it never got me down to that level again.
I wonder if people
Yeah.
would be interested if I went back to doing Mormon content. There is just so much bizarre stuff, but the problem is it's a limited topic.
Yeah. Well, maybe not something you do all the time, but maybe do one show a month about some of your Mormon experiences and some of the things that they teach.
Oh, Porp, I did not realize that you were Mormon or had a Mormon background.
I was going to say, I don't think I keep that a secret.
I just never heard it.
Weren't you also just saying something about Pennsylvania Dutch?
Yeah. I mean, that's...
But that...
Don't ask me why my parents converted before I was born, but...
Oh.
Because that's about the only way you're going to get that combination.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, since you transitioned, it's not Mormon. There's one less man.
I think I'd start a religion that is, instead of Mormon, it would be called Y-Men. It's...
Well, I did at one time during my pagan years start the Church of It, which was actually just an acronym for IT was for independent thought.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, the whole idea of it was just to, discuss things
Well, there's also the Church of the Subgenius that worships some guy named Bob.
Oh, well, that's made for me. Subgenius. Absolutely.
There is also the Discordians, who have two groups: the Eurasian Liberation Front and another name I can't pronounce, but it's the acronym is POE.
Well, obviously, we should be worshipping my screwdriver. I have shown that it answers prayer slightly better than God.
There's also the Church of Beer.
Hmm.
Well, I only worship my cats because they have proven to me that they exist, which is more than any god ever did for me.
So you're Egyptian Reconstructionist then?
But I don't think
That's great.
Purple's planning to mummify her cats alive.
Oh God.
No, no, that's horrible.
The reason I can't call myself an atheist is because there's a cat here.
Wait a minute.
Understandable.
Please explain for the dumb one. What does that mean?
Have you ever had a cat that didn't think it was God in some way?
Mm.
They never really discussed it with me, but you do you, you know.
Yeah, no cat owner is an atheist.
That's funny.
But
Jenny,
they're
I'm
okay.
curious why you have that logo as your avatar right now, because I saw a couple of those logos come through my LinkedIn this week that kind of freaked me the fuck out.
Because I am extremely concerned about this nation. I don't think we are a
Yeah.
democracy anymore. We are a fascist state.
Yep.
And that seal goes along much better than the actual intent of it in its original design.
Oh, I just
Um,
looked closer. I see.
Yeah, I can't read the text on your seal though.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, we are a Nazi country now. The seal, let's see, I can't read that. That's too small for me, so I'll go to the original. Let's see if I can find it here.
Is it from the Man in the High Tower?
Whoops, sorry.
I don't know where I got it. I just came across it. Somebody had it as their avatar, and I stole it because that's what I do.
There we go.
Oh,
I told
okay,
you
yeah.
my brain's not working. Yeah, okay, now it's big enough that I can see the text. Seal of the convicted felons of the United States.
Personally, what I love are all the comic book fans who argue about what Trump would be. It's like, if this were the DC universe, Bruce Wayne would have been leading the resistance against Donald Trump several years ago.
Somebody put together a meme with all the pictures and labels of relationship that Donald Trump has with all these various politicians and rich guys and stuff like this. And the rich guys and politicians' sentences for the child abuse that they performed. And he's got like, there's like either 9 or 12 in the meme, I forget. How can you, well, you know that many people that do that because you're the one that does that too.
Yeah.
It's just so disgusting that this person exists.
Well, as far as them discussing about, comic book settings, canonically, Elon Musk exists. Yeah, Elon Musk exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Really?
Yes, he does.
He made an appearance in one of the Iron Man movies.
First Iron Man movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well,
I remember. Mm-hmm.
That was before everyone knew Elon was insane.
That's true.
And before Terrence Howard regaled us with his 1 × 1 = 2 math.
Yeah, if
that's
they knew
true, too.
everything about Elon then he would have just, taken the place of Hammer. Tony Stark's greatest rival. Hammer keeps trying to steal Tony Stark's technology to sell it as military weapons.
Yeah, he usually makes a lot of promises of being improved weapons technology and all that, and it usually turns out to be crap.
Yep. So yeah, actually fits Elon's profile pretty good there.
Yeah, it does.
Well, the problem-
Oh well, my lunch is much better in my stomach now. There's PBS is showing a documentary about the Iceman, and they just did a full frontal on him. Ew. Just what I wanted to see with a full stomach. Ugh.
problem is, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter.
I was just remembering that Elon Musk hosted a episode of Saturday Night Live. I forgot about that. We all thought he was kind of cool back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I ever really thought of Musk as cool.
No, I always thought, he had too much ego and that really his only claim to fame was being rich.
Well, he's an excellent gamer.
Oh yes, we've seen that.
I mean, honestly, no one would have cared if he just did poorly and didn't claim to be a good gamer, because there are plenty of bad gamers who enjoy video games.
Yep.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be entertaining to watch them who's bad at gaming and try and play a game.
Actually, I'd had a concept for launching another channel that I was going to call Incompetent Gamer, where Sloth Girl and her friend would just pick out a game for me to play and not give me any instructions, and you could just watch me try to figure it out.
Oh, holy crap. You're all familiar with this 5,000-year-old dude they found frozen in the Alps, right?
No, well, vaguely.
Okay. They are doing a complete MRI of every square centimeter, top to bottom, and now they are making a 3D print of it.
Ew.
Well, no, it makes sense because, that'll make... That way they'll be allowed to take measurements and things and not have any chance of damaging the actual artifact.
Yeah, because it's got to stay frozen and stuff.
Yep, and most likely they'll make multiples of the 3D print to be sent out to various museums.
Well, I wonder if you could buy the file and make your own.
Yeah, well,
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be great for Halloween?
well,
The real mummy shape, guys.
For the research labs, that is one of the ways that they get some good funding, is by making the reproductions and selling them to the museums. Like the most famous T-Rex, or the most complete T-Rex skeleton ever found, is one called Sue. And there have been 25, laser measured copies of it made now.
That's neat.
Yeah, so that way they can have it in various museums, and they can even have some that tour. And there's no chance of anybody damaging the original fossils.
Do you know if they made it out of a computer file or was it like plaster casts and stuff?
Well, they had been making plaster casts because they've been making since the 80s. But they have now scanned it into a computer file so that they can make just plastic replicas of it.
See, now that they should do and offer it out to the public at reduced sizes so that you could print your own, say, 4-foot tall T-Rex for your front yard or for your bedroom.
So cool.
But that would be cool for me if they would scan Fafner.
So, did you hear about the fire at the clothing factory?
No.
There
Where
were
was this?
casualties.
Oh, jeez.
Oh. Yeah.
They didn't have any formality problems?
At one point, everybody remember the old Sinclair dinosaurs?
Yeah.
That at some of the gas stations they actually had, fiberglass ones there.
Actually, someone pointed out, review was watching a couple years ago, 20 years after the show ended, that all the last names in dinosaur are the names of oil companies.
Yep.
Or oil related.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject.
They had when one of the Sinclair stations changed over, the little dinosaur was still there, and I was very tempted to go out one night and swipe it because I had the idea of, like, cutting a section out of the middle and making it into a couch.
Okay,
Jenny,
now I'm going to change the subject. Patty, is your hair layered? Oh, okay. It's very pretty.
Yes. I was wondering how much time you spend on yours because your hair always looks so good.
You're muted.
As little as possible.
Ah.
I intentionally do it so I don't have to do anything. I don't ever brush it.
Oh, so that's
Mhm.
just the natural texture.
Yeah, the
Okay.
only thing I actually do is I straighten my bangs. That's it. Otherwise, they'd be all like, wee.
I had assumed that you had to take a curling iron to get that effect on the sides.
Nope. I come by it naturally.
I want to get one of those curling irons that you just put a clump of hair in there and you push the button and it winds it up for you.
Yes, those are so great. And I was dating somebody last year who has a arm injury, and so it was so great for them to be able to do it because they can't do a regular curling iron, so it's accessible too. It made me so happy, and it's cool because it spins it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw one on Timo for $0.01.
Oh,
It's probably high quality.
Yeah, did you hear about the fire at the warehouse in China? Let me start that one over. Did you hear about the factory at the main Temu factory in China? Nearly $53 worth of merchandise were destroyed.
Okay, I've got to step away for a moment. I'll be right back.
Although a friend of mine bought a pair of the pants from Temu, and they're really nice and very well made, and they were like $12.
I have bought a couple of woodworking tools from Timo, and I got what I expected. They're pretty much along the same quality as what you buy at Harbor Freight.
Wait, did I actually get people to start singing The Gambler in chat?
The Gambler?
I think so. I've been seeing the lines come through.
Well, just remember, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Such a good one. I wish we could synchronize our singing. It'd be fun to sing it.
I have no idea when to hold them. I'm so bad at poker and stuff like that.
But The Gambler isn't necessarily about poker. It's about life.
Yep, but actually, playing poker live with people is actually something I do well because with my autism, my body language and facial expressions are not at all normal. So people have a really hard time reading me. Anyone who hasn't known me for at least a couple of years can't really read me properly.
The only card game I was ever good at, and Patty might know what this game is, Sheep's Head.
Yes.
My brother and I grew up playing Sheep's Head together against my grandfather, who was an absolute genius. And Gary and I developed this this unintentional language with each other for what we had and what to play next and stuff. And it was a series of winks or eyebrow raises or a finger nudge or something. And we used to go out to various places that were playing Sheep's Head and just kick their asses and take $50.
That's amazing.
Until the time he showed up somewhere where I was, let's say I was out in Jupiter and everybody else was down on Earth, and it didn't go very well. We played with 2 decks. Oh God, it was so weird.
Sheep's Head is by far the most intense game that is played in my Wisconsin family group.
Oh, they're serious about it.
We played for nickels, so it wasn't that serious, but they were emotionally very serious.
I paid for one of my semesters in college with Sheep's Head down in the student union. Yeah.
I am pretty sure the most intense game in most families is Monopoly. Or occasionally Risk, depending on the family.
Uno.
Ooh.
I refuse to play
Ooh,
Monopoly
no.
anymore. Monopoly was originally designed as a game to teach the perils and badness of capitalism, and people have turned it into the complete opposite. And it's like, oh Jesus Christ!
Plenty of people,
Although I do like the penguin,
plenty
the
of people call,
penguin token.
Oh yeah, the little piece.
I was going to say, plenty of people call Monopoly capitalism simulator. But most games end up in fights, and the board gets thrown out.
Well, that's exactly right. That's what capitalism is. There's one big winner who has everything, and everybody else hates the game because they have nothing. And that's just like real life in capitalist nation.
And we just keep unironically playing the game. What the fuck?
Nope, not Jupiter, Florida. The real Jupiter. I almost got hit by one of the satellites, actually. Fortunately, I was much faster.
You know, I need to get that T-shirt that has like the HAL 9000 and the company that made it.
Oh.
Be careful with the Jupiter jokes. You don't want anybody to think you're anti-Semitic.
Oh,
What?
I don't even know that connection.
What?
No, that
Just
that
a
was
bad pun.
yeah. That was a bad
Oh.
one. Sorry.
Hmm.
Okay,
Jupiter.
I was at Saturn then. Fine.
Oh,
At least I wasn't at Uranus. You know?
I was gonna go there if you weren't.
You're a kook.
did you find the calculator's Boolean mass driver there? It's orbiting somewhere in the rings of Saturn.
No, I was kind of not paying attention very well. There was all
Okay.
these colors and stuff. It was,
Yep.
Oh, you're
They
having a
figured
good
it.
time.
They figured if you're trying to hide an interstellar ship in our solar system, that putting it in the rings of Saturn with all the debris was the best bet.
Okay.
Ah, yes. Logic Memory Systems made the HAL 9000.
Oh, go to hell.
I can't, Dave.
You know, that movie would be much better if they just cut out the bit after, like, he takes Hal down. Because I know no one who didn't fall asleep after that part.
Okay, here you brought up a trivia source. And this goes for the people in the chat too. You can try to answer. The song that is associated with 2001: Space Odyssey is, of course, oh God, also Zach's.
Thus Spake Zarathustra.
Thank you very much. Who is Zarathustra? Or what is Zarathustra?
No clues. Are we
No
talking
clues
about
in-
the same song even?
No clues, and Patty Vaporized. You know, dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's all.
that song.
I can't say that word. I'm sorry. Patty
Sorry.
Vaporized. Oh no.
The
We just
song
got
I
to
most
know her.
associate.
All right, so this is what I thought. Although I was slightly off, it is another name for Zoroaster,
Yes.
associated with the religion that founded a lot of the bases for modern day Christianity and Judaism.
Yes. It was also considered a source for good advice and guidance. The person apparently wrote a lot of books and stuff like this. I'm not really sure. It's been such a long time since I researched it.
So Ember and My Unfinished Journey got it.
Oh, Patty's back. Oh,
Now,
God. I thought you vaporized
Like,
it. So...
you know, that is not the song that I most associate with 2001.
What do you associate?
Daisy,
Oh,
Daisy.
You associate.
Daisy.
Oh. I was taking the question seriously.
Did
That
anyone
is the
watch?
first thing I think of when you say 2001, though.
Did anyone watch the show Recess?
Nope.
Yeah, I used to watch it.
Never heard of it.
Did you see the parody where they're parodying 2001?
I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I only saw a few episodes too.
I don't remember the parody.
Where they try to replace the principal with a computer called the Cell 9000. And Gretchen has to go in and tear it down. Oh, sorry. The movie is also Sprock Zarathustra.
I must have missed that episode.
Thus Spoke Zarathustra is a Friedrich Nietzsche book.
Ouch. Ouch.
Is anybody here Minecrafters? If we're talking games today.
I've considered getting to it, but I've never played it.
I like crafting games, but for some reason Minecraft doesn't really hook me the way other
What's
games
the
do.
attraction to Minecraft?
It's Lego for adults.
Yeah, basically it's Lego that you don't have to pick up when you're done, so you can't step on them.
Feet are much happier playing.
Visual Lego.
Yeah, which
There's
is why I
different-
never got into it, because I just, I'll just play with Lego. But Sloth Girl and her son were both pretty into it. They made some quite intricate worlds.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been thinking about getting a bunch of Legos and making a stand for all my portable USB hard drives.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's fun. Out of Lego, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for graphics, I actually prefer 7 Days to Die over Minecraft, even though the zombie apocalypse setting.
I saw a Lego product
Isn't
that
my
I wanted to buy for Purple. It was, except it's a Duplo, and it's for it's for ages 3 through 6.
That actually does have useful benefits for connecting with Lego.
It
Yeah,
does.
You know,
You can connect them together.
Yes,
Oh,
Duplo
I didn't know
bricks.
that.
the Duplo bricks are made to be exactly 4 times the size of regular Legos, so that they will lock together.
if I were
And
rich,
yeah, this is especially like if you're building a very large structure. Some people will use those for the internal supports.
Yeah.
if I were rich enough to be eccentric, I would probably try to build a house out of Legos.
I've had that thought too, except I didn't want to
Yep.
build an actual house. I wanted to build one to assume that the Lego is an actual brick, a typical American brick size that we use, and scale it from there.
Huh.
That was just one of
There
the
is
stupid things I thought of.
There is an eco brick out there that's, I forget exactly what it's made of. It's something Crete, of course, and that it
Yeah.
goes together like Lego to build a
I
house.
considered
Yeah.
building garden beds out of something like that.
Oh, cool.
There was a Lego made a product in the 60s and early 70s that actually it worked like Lego, but all of the pieces, the dimensions were made to be scale size of actual building materials.
Mhm.
But they were trying to sell it for architectural design.
Well, that's fun.
Then we'll have to get you on my show sometime, Purple, and talk all about Lego.
That'd be good.
Well, you could do that here.
Kind of are talking about Lego, aren't we?
Well, I guess you're right.
We did it.
I'm
Are
sorry,
any of you,
but when I was
are any
younger,
of you
Go ahead.
go ahead, Purpose.
I'm sorry, but when I was younger, I preferred constructs.
Is anybody here experienced in the original Erector set?
Oh yeah.
They're still around, but isn't that something that they only gave to? Actually, my sister got an erector set, and I never did, and I was angry about that.
I loved it as a kid. It actually came with little itty bitty nuts and bolts and
a
stuff, and each of the things was like a trestle type girder or a truss type design, and you just build stuff out of it. And I always had this fantasy to fill an entire room with the erector set and build it for an HO train thing to go around, and that's the whole room is a bridge for the train thing. But
we had used
I never
it for
did it.
that. We had gotten a hold of, like 5 sets and combined them all together. And yeah, my brother did use them to make trestles for his electric trains. One problem with using the erector sets for this is, of course, that they did transmit the electricity.
Yeah.
So there were certain problems if it ever came in contact with the actual rails of the train track.
Oh.
As I got older, I thought about using erector sets to build certain types of sex toys, but then I realized that there was way too many sharp edges.
I bet there's a market for that, and I really wish there weren't.
Another thing that was good for making stuff for model railroads. Does anybody remember the girder and panel sets?
No.
No, but I had a girdle once. It was long time ago. We don't wear those anymore.
Those were exactly what they said. That they were a bunch of plastic girders and a bunch of plastic panels. So you could actually make pretty decent looking skyscrapers that were basically in the HO scale.
I've mentioned this before, but I'm sure that it's so insignificant nobody's bothered to hear. I used to work for a company called Walthers in Milwaukee, and Walthers was at that time, and I think still, the largest purveyor of model railroad equipment.
Oh.
And I didn't start there because I was a fan of model railroad, but by the time I left, I was a fan, not to actually want to do it myself, but to admire the people that had the skill and the commitment to it. They were very impressive. I worked in the publishing department, doing photography and writing for them, but it was amazing. Some of these people are so compulsive. They would if Walthers introduced a new train car, these fanatics would actually take a gigantic magnifying glass and a pen, and they would count every freaking rivet on the model to see if it matched the actual real railroad car. It's like, holy cow, you people are really bent, aren't you?
Well, this is because model railroading is a hobby that seems to attract a lot of autistic people.
Tom Hanks is a model railroad fan. I know that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well,
He actually came to Walthers once.
Not to mean to change the subject, but I was just testing out the whole Mecha Hitler thing from Grok. And it seems they've corrected that since then.
Corrected that. But, I mean, Grok did things like made up a Jewish last name for someone and started anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about her.
I was just testing out Grok to see how it would respond, and it seems they've fixed that.
And then as Mecha Hitler, it gave instructions on how to break into someone's house and to essay them.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God.
That person is now suing Twitter.
What, because they were blocked for that kind of thing, or? I don't want to know. I don't want to know at all.
The AI gave instructions on how to do this.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if the lawsuit's going to go anywhere. You can sue for anything, but a judge may throw it out if it's ridiculous.
It sounds like it'd probably get thrown out.
I tried to use Grok to make a very uncomplimentary image of Nancy Mace, the notorious attention-seeking trans hater whore, and Grok wouldn't let me until I took the word representative out of Nancy Mace. Then it did.
Well, I was just looking for the word.
You want to see it? I can send it up here.
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
Not really.
She's such a bitch. Oh my God, this woman is so detestable.
Listen,
I managed to get Grok to generate an image of Elon Musk and Trump kissing.
If you want to make an unflattering picture of Nancy Mace, just go get her official portrait. It is not flattering.
Okay, let's see. Where are we now? Okay,
it's all the hate behind the eyes that really drive the look down.
And I think we need to get someone to name Christy Gnome the worst cosplayer of the year. And we get like some anime, some like cosplayer group to do that.
I saw a thing where she was like apparently getting her makeup
board.
done and everything next to a raid that she was like showing up at. Getting
Yeah.
her makeup done, like had a crew there to do that shit. What the fuck?
Oh,
She
yeah.
she seems to be competing for America's worst cosplayer with Krusty Gnome Nothing.
Didn't I say? Oh, Nancy Mace.
Oh, let's see here. Okay, what am I doing? I'm playing internet. What do I do next?
Pet Athena.
Ah, there we
Now
are.
sitting on your lap and showing her tail on stream.
Yeah.
I did two actually. I did Nancy Mason, then I also did Donald Trump. So you can throw both of those up there, and it's like, boy, you can have a lot of fun doing horrible, bad things on the AI.
Yeah, but one thing I don't generally like using AI to generate images anymore because the artists do have valid complaints about how it's
I don't
done.
know.
It's one thing if they're just pulling like off of forums or something, which will result in even less accuracy if they do that. But at least that's usually open source.
Okay, could one of you with
Yep, I'm on the way.
high skill? Okay, thank you, Mage. I was going to say high skills and the proper equipment.
I would use AI for like doing thumbnails, but that would be about it.
I by the way, have renamed our dear Christy Gnome with all her cosplay as Krusty Gnome Nothing with a K. And it's immature and adolescent indeed, but it was still fun.
So what was this one on?
This is Nancy Mace. She's a rabid anti-trans person, and she's the one who got the rule or bill or whatever it was passed through Congress to ban Sarah McBride from using the bathroom.
I'll still continue calling Christy Gnome Secretary a puppy murderer.
That's a good one. I like that too.
She has a vagina instead of a penis. So obviously, she's better.
So I did Christy, and I told it Nancy to give her rainbow hair and a rainbow dress that's glittery, and to carry a Shirley Temple cocktail and with lots of urinals in the background. And they did it.
Hilarious.
Well,
Hilarious. The hair is fantastic, though.
I would love to do my hair like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the other one?
In the UK, that they had passed the bathroom bill that trans women had to use the bathroom according to the birth certificate, which caused a problem because there were like a couple of elected officials that were trans. So then they had to amend it to say that in government buildings, it doesn't apply to government employees.
Oh my God, can humans just pee?
There is no way they can enforce this. These laws are stupid to begin with.
Yep.
Well, they have nothing to do with trans. They have to do with hate, and that's it.
And secondly, every single woman, trans or otherwise, has used a men's restroom at some point, especially at a sporting event.
Exactly.
Should I show the other one now, or?
And
Yeah,
what
sure.
I love is that
This
the older
is
ones,
just Donnie Trump, and I told it to have neurons exploding out of his head, and it asked me, "Did you want to do that in a surrealistic motif?" So I said, "Sure, why not?"
It's entertaining.
And what I love is that the older women will now tell people when they're pressed on, it's like, I identify with waiting in shorter lines.
Yep.
I would never want to go back in a men's room. They're so filthy and smelly.
I've seen women's rooms that were just as bad now.
All right, please go on.
Oh,
Trumpty Dumpty
Please
sat on a wall.
Oh.
Trumpty.
Yeah, that came on very loud.
Sorry.
yes, of course. There's women's rooms who are maintained poorly, but by and large, it's got to be at least 10-1 that women's rooms are better than men's room. They're just, it's so radical and so consistent. Here in Minnesota, Quick Trip in Wisconsin and Minnesota, Quick Trip has spotless bathrooms all the time.
Yep.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why I always look for quick trips when I'm on a road trip.
I
Well,
worked for
I-
a Quick Trip. They are serious about that.
I've always thought that they were probably very tough on their employees. Is that true?
I didn't find it too bad, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they were very they did have high expectations and like lists of what to do at lockup time and morning time and all that. So,
Soros worked for Quick Trip as well and got up to the level of being a store manager.
Oh yeah.
And
Nice.
as he describes it, yeah, the like the district supervisors were pretty hard on the managers.
Yeah. Here's one that I'll try and turn the sound halfway, so it's not as loud. But might get you get this whole thing demonetized.
Doesn't matter. I'm deaf now.
We have a fraudulent felon, rapist for president, who might also be a traitor. Our vice president is accused of watching dolphin porn and fucking couches. And we have a Nazi billionaire puppeteer raping the country for his personal gain. Good night, folks!
Okay.
Well, that was nice and short.
I was trying to
Wow.
I was testing out Suno to see how far it would let me go.
Here's what the people of JD Vance's hometown think of him. If you want to grab that photo and put it up.
Well, when Kennedy Jr. was trying to run, I thought it was interesting that 30 members of the Kennedy family came out and said, "Please don't vote for him."
Now, if you're out there in the chat and you can't read that, the bottom lines are biggest stain on our town's history and upholstery.
Oh God.
All right. Well, if we're going to share songs, I have this one.
Sure.
Give me a second. If I can get it.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm in the category with one of
Let me know if sound is
Tom Lear's introductions that this is the song that I have most been requested not to.
All right, gonna play it now.
Everyone hear it?
Nope.
It's really low.
It's quiet.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Might have the volume turned down. I do not. This is one issue that I've had with sharing between two things. Where's the volume? This way I can.
Well, in the old days, it was at the end of a potentiometer, but nowadays.
No, I mean, honestly, the StreamYard app has had issues with Firefox for a while.
Sounds like it's trying to play through your mic.
Yeah. Well, and I logging into StreamYard, I got a message that they know they're having some issues with the latest versions of Chrome and Firefox and a couple others.
Did you hear that TikTok is supposedly composing an entirely new application to replace TikTok?
Really?
Well,
I hadn't heard that.
That's all the details I've heard.
Okay, Quick Trip spelled with a Q and Quick Trip spelled with a K are completely unrelated companies.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is no
unrelated.
connection between them at all.
And Quick Trip up here is going out and buying 7-Elevens and converting them.
You have 7-Eleven still?
Not here, no.
We got
I do in
7-Eleven
Oregon.
We got 7-Eleven a few years ago because they bought out Speedway.
Yeah, we haven't had any
Oh.
7-Elevens in Minnesota since 1980 something because Super America bought them all out.
Oh yeah.
And then Super
Super
America got turned into
America.
Speedway.
Yeah, Speedway bought out Super America like 10 years after that.
And wasn't that like a thing where everything east of something stayed Speedway and west of it turned into Super America or vice
Yeah,
versa?
there was something weird like that.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's Sheetz and Wawa, which were different sides of Pennsylvania.
Well, it's also Hellman's mayonnaise and Best Foods mayonnaise.
Yeah.
That's like the dividing line was the Mississippi, I think, for which
The
they would have.
Mississippi's the dividing line for most east-west things.
But what
Okay.
I just like is we're getting Wawas, but no Sheets out here.
Well, I don't know that one.
You know who's now on my list of acceptable things to consume is, believe it or not, Dollar General. Some of their house brands are as good, if not better, than the originals, and the prices are spectacular. They're crackers. I'm a big saltine junkie,
A lot of
and
time-
their saltines are like $1, $1.50, $2 less than premium saltines, and they're every bit as good. And
Well,
zero complaints about them.
You were
A lot of-
saying you were finding the Craven brand there?
I found Craven brand, but not there. But go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I say,
Yeah.
a lot of times, though, they are the same thing as the name brand product. They just have a different label slapped on.
Yeah.
Indeed.
At one time you could actually tell because again, this was like back in the 80s, that the UPC codes, the last 4 digits were a plant identification. So sometimes you would find things that were different brands but had the same last 4 digits on the UPC code, so you could know they came from the same factory.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's neat.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Oh,
Well, I
They
just
started, they started giving multiple codes to the same factories so that they could avoid it because people were catching on to it.
I used to know what brands American Home products manufactured under generic labels, but sadly,
Yeah,
that
but-
was
in
almost 30 years
in all
ago.
fairness and transparency, there are a number of things that I've tried from Dollar General that I genuinely regretted, and used a lot more toilet paper because of.
But I had brought up the Craven brand because anything that's the Craven or Four Brothers is from the Colburn's Cashwise chains. Yeah, Cashwise is where I do all my grocery shopping now. It is actually an employee-owned company.
We have a grocery store chain up here, Woodman's. It is also employee owned, but I don't like going there. They play a nasty game. They will sell a name brand product, like let's say Cremette's pasta, which is very good quality, and everybody generally likes it.
Yeah.
And when you go to your regular store, you go about 16-ounce package, and it's X amount of money. And when you go to Woodman, it's less money, and it's 12 ounces.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I swear I saw a 60 Minutes Andy Rooney segment about the shrinking sizes of packages.
Yep.
When I was a kid.
I
Yeah.
loved Andy Rooney.
I know. I did too.
Well, they keep doing that because if you look, if you in the stores now, all the spaghetti sauce bottles are like 24 or 28 ounces, where they used to be a quart. So they'd start out as 32 ounces, and they've been subtracting like 1 or 2 ounces at a time over the years.
Mm-hmm. And like toilet paper is like ½ inch or so, maybe 3/4 of an inch narrower than it used to be.
Yeah.
Back in the old days.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
sure
that's the way that the companies can, keep a product at the same price point. Like they want to keep it so it's below $5.
Which is not a problem for a lot of men nowadays. Now that it seems to be fashionable for them to not to wipe their ass.
I'd heard about
Oh,
that, and I was like,
Patty,
what?
there are groups of men out there, and I don't know what their affiliation is or their thrust of their bizarrety, but they think
Bad
that
choice
if
of
you
words.
wipe your butt, it's gay, and so
What
they
the
don't. And that
What?
includes in the shower they won't wash their junk and their butt because that's gay.
Is
If
it
you
real?
touch that area, yeah, honest to God,
I've heard about that, and I just,
it's
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just
no.
unbelievable that
It
some people would
hurts.
think that way.
Hurts.
well, and if nothing else, if they're not wiping, aren't they ruining their clothes?
Depends
And
on who's
are we
doing the
selling
washing.
more diaper rash cream? Because that's going to cause problems.
Yep.
Ew. Like, unless they're getting into a real good squat so things don't, hang out. Ew. Sorry. Blech.
Oh, you're
That's
fun
nasty.
you're fun to play with.
Yeah, that image was a little too vivid.
I don't know. We all suffer from Klingons from time to time. It's just the way of life.
We're talking about Star Trek? What's happening?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah, we are. I'm
well,
just trying to figure out
know,
what the hell a Romulan is.
Well, that's why the Starship Enterprise is like toilet paper. It circles Uranus looking for Klingons.
Excellent. Oh,
So, Patty, did you know that we were such a weird group of people?
I mean, that's the kind of people I like.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, poopers, scoopers. So, Mommy, have you heard my story of being in India when we got called that? It was quite funny. I felt kind of bad. We were at a Kali Ma temple and it was closed, and some worshipers came and were very upset that my husband was standing there taking a picture. They said, goodbye, pooper scooper.
Well, I was going to play a video from TikTok about the whole butt wiping thing, but I can't get the damn thing to start from the beginning because every time I said it at the beginning, TikTok starts playing automatically.
Oh,
Well, that's
no.
kind of shitty.
Yeah.
That's the idea. We're going to watch a thing about shittiness.
And they wonder why they're incels. Exactly.
Yeah.
These women won't go out with us. Huh. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe try showering properly. That could improve your odds.
Even before you try showering, improve your personalities because, quite frankly, you're awful.
Yeah.
Soap wouldn't hurt, but start with improving your personalities.
Well,
this has been public, sir. Sorry.
That's part of why they, voted for this whole thing. That, they were looking forward to the whole handmaids thing.
No one's going to.
Women would be assigned to them and not have a choice.
No one is going to give you a government-mandated girlfriend. You can get over that fantasy now.
I think they're all just upset they actually have to be good people and cool people and be interesting enough to attract somebody. It's not just somebody in the small town that has no other choice.
Well, I think it would be perfectly fair for some incel maggot person to get assigned to meet assigned to them because they would deserve that.
Well, here's another bit of advice, and you should not take dating advice from the asexual, but don't talk to other incels online. Go to the places where women actually are. You'll meet them there. You'll find out they're repelled by your personality.
Oh, I had a guy hitting on me in Blue Sky for the last week. He's been very, very coy, and so I thought I would play him. Because you always know it's going to be one of those guys because they always start out, hi, how are you? What a dumb opening line, okay? But nonetheless, he was just, manipulating and hitting on me. And, oh, no, I'm not hitting on you. I'm just interested in you. And oh, you're just so fascinating. I want to know everything about you. Dude, you're a con artist, okay? And I know, and you know, and I can tell, 10 feet away. And finally, I got rid of him. I'm not sure how I got rid of him, but he stopped bothering me finally. And he knew I was trans, so it wasn't that.
And if any incel doesn't want to take my advice, take Tsumamis.
Yeah.
We don't want them around. Stay indoors themselves.
Yeah.
Shape up or stay away.
Also,
So
to
many
help,
rocks.
I do wish that bidets would become more common in the U.S. Sometimes the toilet paper just doesn't seem to be enough.
well, if you live in the Midwest, especially certain times of the year, I can understand not wanting to leave a basement.
Yeah, we do have tornado season.
My dad built our basement when Mom and Dad bought a house back in '64. My dad, with the help of people who actually knew how to use tools, a rec room downstairs in the basement. Half the basement was this rec room, as they called it. And it turned into just a big living room and stuff like that down there because it was so cool in the summer.
My father was a World War II veteran, and he built our house. And I do wonder if my mom lived in that house for 65 years before finally selling it. And I wonder if the people who bought it have questioned why in the basement pantry the ceiling is several inches lower. Because the reason for that is that the front porch slab, which is the ceiling of that pantry, is 8 inches of reinforced concrete. My dad literally built it to be a bomb shelter.
Oh.
8 inches ain't enough, but okay.
Well,
it was underground?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you expecting to have Vault-Tec authorized shelters? Okay, if not a follow-up thing, you're not going to get that reference.
Ooh, this week around 4:30 a.m. I don't know if that's Eastern or Central or what. Venus is going to be getting very close to the Pleiades. Ooh, that'd be a nice photograph.
Do you have the equipment for astrophotography?
Actually, I have a big ass telephoto lens on my Canon, and yes, that will do very well. I can fill the frame with half the moon.
Yes, but do you have
nice.
do you have a P1000?
No, I'm smarter than that.
A P1000 is not a professional photographer's tool. For me, it's fine, but
I don't know. I haven't seen the P1000 be used for anything except taking pictures of stars and planets.
Or boats.
I have yet to find the P1000 or P900 owner who knew how to override the manual of the automatic focus so that they could actually focus on a star that they're saying is a big ball of water out there somewhere because it twinkles. You guys, it's out of focus. That's why it's twinkling. Oh yeah, these people.
Yeah, I could not take a decent picture for anything, but even I can tell what they're doing wrong with most of those pictures.
I learned about that in 6th grade when Mom and Dad gave me my first telescope, and I thought I could go look at stars, but there's just these little pinpricks. There's not much to look at.
And that's pretty much what they look like through binoculars too.
Mm-hmm. Although if somebody is interested in casual observation, you get yourself some 15 or 20x binoculars, and you can get cheap ones for not a lot of money at all off eBay. You can see an amazing. You can see Jupiter's moons. You can see Saturn's rings. You can clearly make out Venus's crescent. And
I don't think you can see Saturn's rings with binoculars. I think you need a telescope for that.
No, you can see that they're there. You can't see any separations between them, but you can, and you probably not right now because I think they're on edge relative to our view.
You can see Jupiter's moons definitely, and I got some of Jupiter's moons in pictures.
Wasn't the telescope that Galileo first used to observe Jupiter's moons was only like a 7 or 8 times magnification?
Yeah, it was just a two lens tube.
Yeah. But yeah, he was able to pick out, that there were something orbiting Jupiter.
But yeah, just like with birdwatcher binoculars, you can see the Messier objects. They're like 2 in Orion. I think there's one in the Big Dipper.
Or if you can actually see it from your angle, Andromeda is easy to find with binoculars or low power telescope.
That's fun.
I will still to this day never forget the first time I looked through the telescope. I looked at the moon, of course, and it was just, you see pictures in your little science books and stuff as a kid, but then all of a sudden to see it with your own eyeball, it was like, oh my God, it changed my life. It completely changed me. And suddenly I wasn't just this person on Earth. I was a citizen of the universe. It was so cool.
Aww.
I'd like to see all kids get into science and stuff that way. My mom was a medical person. And so one Christmas, unexpectedly, I wasn't even asking for it, I got this microscope, which was, a kid's halfway, an adolescent's microscope, even though I was only like 8. But because she worked at the largest hospital in the county hospital, she went to the lab and she got me a bunch of slides that were just, not there and not used anymore. And she brought me brain tissue and some nerve tissue and some epithelial cells and all this stuff. And it just, as a kid, it just opens your brain.
Yeah.
So much.
That would be cool to see how the different types of body tissue look.
Well, it sounds like it opened somebody's brain.
Well, people die.
I think you can get microscope attachment. Sorry, go ahead.
You pull the brain and you cook part of it and you make part of it into research.
I think you can get microscope attachments for cell phones now, so you can go into get some water out of a pond and put it under the cell phone and take a look at it.
Yeah.
The hardest thing about using that microscope was that the whole lighting stage was just this little itty bitty peanut bulb that you wouldn't even put in a flashlight. It's so dim, and it was just. And then you had to move this mirror to get the light in, and it was a horrible setup. But that was the technology back then.
Well, I grew up watching the Apollo program. That I had just turned 5 years old when I watched the first man step on the moon.
Oh, cool.
The live TV broadcast of that. So
your parents let you stay up that late? Wow.
For that event, well, actually, for the most part, people didn't pay much attention to me or know what I was doing. So
that was like 1 a.m.
Yeah, but there was always the assumption that somebody was watching me. So nobody ever thought they really had to. It was a really weird thing to grow up with a dozen people in the house and be neglected most of the time.
See, my family was much more efficient. We only had 5 people in the house, and they completely ignored me. So
that's why I say I was raised by the cats. The larger humans generally ignored me. The cats taught me the important stuff, like the best places to hide when my dad had been drinking.
I was raised by my darkroom in the basement under the stairs that was built with an old carpet.
So none of you were raised by normal things like a Commodore 64?
No, they didn't have those.
The Commodore 64 didn't come out until I was graduating high school.
Porpoise, our first radios were tube type, okay? And our first TV that I remember was about a 10-inch, maybe 12-inch circular tube.
I don't care if computers were the size of your house back then. That's no excuse.
Yeah, well, And in the 70s, you had to be strong, because in the 70s, portable just meant they'd screwed a handle to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were 70-pound TVs that were listed as being portable.
Oh, the average 24-inch console TV in a house probably weighed 200 pounds.
Yeah, and most every house had one of those entertainment consoles that had a TV sitting on top of it because the TV inside it no longer worked.
Yes.
I scored one of the circular type TVs way back when, and I restored it so that it would operate. Of course, then it would actually receive things because everything was still analog. But it was so heavy. It made the TVs of the 60s look lightweight. The small thing, it was maybe 2 foot by 2 foot footprint and about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And that son of a bitch, we weighed in at 350 pounds. And I just finally left it somewhere because I just didn't want to move it anymore. Oh.
I forget which movie it was. I think it was something Shirley Temple was in. That when Sloth Girl was like in her mid-20s, it was a movie she remembered, and she watched it, and she got annoyed saying that they had colorized it. And it's like, no, it had always been in color. Your family just had never owned a color TV.
That makes sense.
We didn't have a color TV until 1971.
Are you serious? We didn't
Yeah.
have one until 1993. What the heck is up with that?
They were just really expensive back then. And, and then my parents didn't tell us we got it. They just came home one day and my dad said, "Here, we got a new antenna for the TV." You know, and actually was waiting for the color TV to be delivered.
I always remember having a color TV,
Kinda cute.
even in the 80s.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure when we got a color TV in the living room, but yeah, I was watching on black and white through a good part of my childhood.
Yeah. I think I watched all of Sesame Street because I was the oldest of 4, so I watched a lot of Sesame Street, and I think I watched all the color things on my black and white TV.
Yeah, well, and eventually I got a TV for my bedroom. One of the neighbors had it in a garage sale or something. So I had a 13-inch black and white TV that I could actually watch what I wanted to watch instead of having to argue with 6 other people about what channel.
Well, I wasn't even allowed to have a radio in my bedroom.
Yeah, that we had a real problem in our house that, by the time we got through and the arguments and took a vote about what we were going to watch, if it was a half-hour show, it was pretty much over by the time we decided on it.
In the 60s, we had a TV with a remote. My dad would just say, "Go change the channel," and I would.
Was it on a wire? I've seen remotes on a wire.
No, it was me. Dad
Oh.
said, "Go change the TV," and I would because he was too lazy. Go get me a cup of coffee. Go change the TV.
In the 80s, my sister was the first one to get a VCR, and the remote for that was on a 15-foot cord.
Oh, so funny.
I don't think my parents ever had a VCR. No, I don't think they did.
Our VCR came to the house in 1993, same time as the first color TV. I think my parents were waiting for the apocalypse before that, and then they had started to legit, because I grew up in a doomsday cult. And so then I think
you mentioned that. I'm sorry.
The cult leader died in 86, and so then things slowly started changing, and then the big bomb dropped in 94 about all the big changes. So I think by 93 they'd kind of started coming out of that mindset. Unfortunately, they went back into it, but yeah, I think that's when they're all right, life is gonna happen, we'll get a color TV, we can get a VCR. Wah, wah.
You weren't even allowed to watch regular TV because it was too sacrilegious or something, or
I don't know if it was just a money thing more than, or just we don't engage in modern life because modern life is bad. I don't know. The funny thing is, I see Sumami mentioning computers, but my dad was a computer programmer, so we had good computers my entire life. But for whatever reason, not the TV. Not till '93.
Bizarre.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got my Commodore 64 in 1982, which was the same year I graduated high school. And that's, at the time, the disk drive cost more than the computer. So all I could afford was the computer with the data cassette.
When I finally moved out of my parents' house, it was like 73, I think, so whatever. My mom bought me a 13-inch color TV. And my dad said, I let her buy that for you because it's nice to get rid of you. Well, thanks, Dad. I love you too. But at least I had a color TV.
Well, even up to when I moved to New York in 2009, I still had one of the big, heavy CRT TVs. Was a 27-inch, so it was a pretty big set. And it's like, for my late fiance, that was the biggest TV she had ever had.
Okay, here's a cultural eye opener for those of you who are like so young. When I was a kid, I'm trying to guess the year. It was maybe 62, 63. We went
BC or BCE?
BCE, and we went to a show, and it was a show at the local TV station, because that's how they used to do local TV shows, that they had an audience, a big audience.
Yep.
And of course it was all black and white, but we got to see the band that played, the Grenadiers was their name, and all the stars of local TV. And it was just really bizarre. I'm glad we did it at least once in my life, so I have the memory of it, but it was just not that way now.
Yeah, I once as a kid, I got to see Bozo Circus, that we went for the live taping of it.
Oh, I always wanted to see Bozo.
Yep, and my sister got to do their grand prize game of tossing the ball into the buckets, but she didn't. She only made it to like the fourth bucket, so a little over halfway.
I'm not familiar with that game.
So, not to disrupt all these Midwest memories, but I have a question. How much longer am I allowed to live in the Midwest without having a tater tot casserole recipe?
How could you be in the Midwest for more than a week and not have a tater tot casserole recipe?
If you're in Minnesota, it's tater tot hot dish, though.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Porpoise, have you never been to a potluck yet?
Ex-Mormon potlucking was kind of like the way they got everyone fed after their large events. And don't trust Mormons with potluck food. Just don't.
Okay, but yeah, in the Midwest, if you go to a potluck, half of the people are going to bring tater tot casserole.
30%? Holy fuck. I hope the preacher had a really big yacht.
More than one jet, so close enough.
Sumami, the as far as I understand it, the main recipe for hot dish is like frozen mixed vegetables, ground beef, cream of mushroom soup, and then you bake it with tater tots on the top.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
But we also had tuna hot dish, which was just tuna casserole with tater tots on it, or potato chips.
Shoestring.
Yeah, Sloth Girl always had to have the green bean casserole for the big holidays, just because that was traditional. Yeah, which was pretty much the same kind of thing. It was the green beans and the cream and chicken soup and cream and mushroom soup.
Oh, I hate that recipe.
And
God, that's just so horrible.
And the French fried onions on the top.
But remember, as someone who is Pennsylvania Dutch, I have to cook things in a crock pot or can something at least once a year.
Only once a year.
At least once a year.
Oh, I use my crock pot quite regularly, especially for making soups.
Yeah, the crockpot I just recently got myself. I've been using quite often.
Actually, what was really nice in New York was that in the summer, I could put the crock pot out in the screened porch, so the air conditioner didn't have to fight it, and we still had a hot meal.
I just eat hot dogs. They're cheap. They're cheapish.
I use the crock pot quite a bit. Actually, for a cheap meat, at certain times of the year, even now, I've been able to get the pork shoulder for less than $1.50 a pound. I used to always get it for 99 cents a pound. So just do the pork shoulder in the crock pot for about 8 hours, and then the stuff just falls apart, and you can shred it.
I have used the crock pot twice to make ham and green beans this year.
I'm gonna be trying one recipe of a gladiator dish, or at least a variant of it. Or basically, it's just it's mostly just barley and beans, but I'll be adding in a little bit of garlic, onion, and some chicken broth to it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about somebody who liked oral sex on women.
No, gladiators were known for mostly eating barley, and they would usually mix it with fava beans and possibly some garlic. So I'm doing a variant on that meal.
That actually sounds really good.
It does. I do like a good beef barley soup. That's about the only thing that I haven't known how to cook barley in really any other way.
I've got the chicken bone broth to cook it in.
And whatever the recipe says for barley, double it.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's another, what I mean about making soup with the crock pot is just, basically one day just to simmer the bones or the carcass from a chicken or, ham or whatever. And then letting that cool so you could skim the fat off the top. And then you pull the bones out, and then you've got your soup base.
My mom, like virtually every mom, was a great cook. We all loved her cooking. And she could do some fairly sophisticated things. But one of my most favorite things was one of her depression dishes that they learned during the Great Depression. That she never told us that these were poor people recipes and stuff like this. But it was just you take those store-bought crappy hamburger buns and you split them and you butter them and you toast them in the oven, and then you pull them out a little bit and you put baked beans on them, and then toss them back in the broiler and let them crisp up a little bit. And it was just one of my most favorite things she ever served. And it was dirt cheap stuff.
Well, but sounds the British thing of beans on toast is pretty much the same thing.
Yep, exactly. The best time she ever did that was when she used her own baked beans instead of some crap out of a can.
Ooh, excuse me. Wow, I thought I muted myself.
My dad's favorite depression dish, it just grossed me out.
Yeah,
take whole milk, a glass of whole milk, and break up saltine crackers in it. Ugh.
So, I have a question. Are you sure everyone's mother can cook? Because
no,
my mother
I was being gracious.
unless we really wanted to.
Yeah. Anytime I see one of those diners that says just like mom used to make, I just keep driving.
My grandmother couldn't cook. It was my grandfather who was the cook.
Well,
I mean, my maternal grandmother was an excellent cook. She liked doing it.
To be somewhat fair, as my mom was always feeding a dozen people, you're going to get cafeteria food. You can't really expect anything better when you're trying to feed that many at one time.
My maternal grandmother tried boiling hamburger patties.
Listen, we need to stop saying that white people don't use spices. We do.
Salt and pepper.
There's salt and pepper.
Yeah.
And in Pennsylvania Dutch food, there's also parsley and nutmeg.
Oh, well, nutmeg's okay.
Also, another thing she'd do is she'd have keep things out in the refrigerator way too long, and like so it was like a day before it goes bad, she'd put it in the freezer. So when you take it out and thaw it, it was like tasteless.
Yeah.
My dad was a pretty good cook, and in his last year of life when I was living with him, taking care of him, he taught me something I'd never heard of, had no clue, and it was like, wow. I was making a meatloaf, and he says, "Here, put this in," and handed me cinnamon. And what are you maybe like hallucinating right now, Dad? Because you do have that dementia thing. But I tried it, and it was spectacular. It completely changes the complexion of something as simple as meatloaf.
Also, another one was we'd catch a lot. We'd catch a lot of fish, so there was a lot of fish in that freezer too. And so if things weren't wrapped up right, you get everything else in the freezer tasting like fish. So she had this one thing that she made me for dinner. Was like, okay, is this fish or chicken? And she says, it's meatloaf or some pork chop.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if it tasted like fish or chicken, but it turned out to be a pork chop.
Well, that's that Long John Silver's fish tastes a lot like it's chicken. That's right in the same.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, my mom basically just overcooked everything. It's like, any kind of vegetables just came out being kind of soft and mushy, and I really didn't like pasta at all, just because growing up it never had any texture. Sloth Girl got me to like the pasta a little bit because, she knew how to cook it. But
it's so funny. It must have been an era thing because that's how I got through too. Is just mush vegetables.
I also think it's interesting that the farther north you go, the higher in fat content the foods tend to be, but the farther south you go, the spicier, at least until about the equator.
Now, my great-grandmother on my dad's side, she was a professional little chef. She actually had her own restaurant at one point.
Okay, what people don't get about spicy foods, like the hot peppers, this is the result of the plant trying for millions of years to become toxic.
I love that.
The plant is trying to make its fruit toxic so you won't eat it. That's the whole point.
Ha ha! Fools on you. We were into that shit.
I know, we're kind of tenacious about it. That's funny.
and you will notice that happens, like Porpoise is saying about getting further south, is that it's generally cultures that were like desert climates that are into the real spicy food, because there wasn't a lot else that grew there, so you had to learn to tolerate that.
Well, but the farther north you go, you tend to have more fat in your food as well.
Yeah. Well, you need the extra fat to stay warm in the winter.
Yeah.
And the spicy foods do something to your metabolism that helps keep you cooler.
Oh, do they? That I didn't know.
Is that a long-term thing too, or is it just that it makes you sweat when you eat it?
I don't remember it. I read it years ago, and it wasn't. Because I'm not a big fan of hot foods.
Well, Concordance here has a thing on black licorice. I get black licorice isn't in everyone's cup of tea, but you should also know the possible health effects of consuming even moderate amounts. The sweet flavor of black licorice comes from a compound called glycyrrhizin. This also acts on blood potassium levels in ways that can hurt or kill.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So how much licorice is deadly?
I'm not sure.
Death by licorice.
I still think there's some gene that makes black licorice taste terrible to some people.
Maybe. My mom and I were the only
like
people in our family that would eat it.
Yep.
But apparently it's trying to kill you.
Well, that's all right. So is alcohol.
Well, also, there's a trick to eating spicy foods that seems obvious, but so few people seem to know it. Was that any place you get spicy foods, they're also going to be giving you something, that is some kind of a bread or a starch with it. And the idea is that if you take a bite of something spicy and then you take a bite of something that's a plain starch, the starch will absorb the oil off of your tongue, so the spice won't last very long.
I pulled that
Mhm.
trick.
Yeah.
We were in home ec class, and they were near the end of the year, so we had this really spicy cheese nacho dip.
Yeah.
And this kid challenged me like, "Okay, we're gonna eat these, but we're not allowed to drink any water." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I would eat some of the spicy cheese dip, and then follow it up with a plain chip. So
Yeah.
that was still a part of the rule. It was fine by the rules, but he wasn't. He kept eating it with the spicy nacho dip on it. So by the end of the class, his mouth was on fire, and I'm just sitting there like totally fine, like
Yeah.
something wrong.
You always get the spicy stuff, with tortilla chips or something, wrapped up in tortillas, or else you get it like with plain rice. So you always have something there to calm the spice down in between.
Why is hot spicy? The hotter the better. Like a macho sword fighting thing.
Because it's a pain tolerance thing.
Jenny, you should know by now,
Yes.
especially with your background, that anything like that men do, it's because they feel it's related to the size of their penis.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
it's a contest to see who's more macho. Now,
Well-
I have never understood the concept of macho, why any man wants to be that, or why any woman would want to be with a man who was like that.
Back in my shop days, I had these two employees who were very, very into hot, spicy competition, so to speak. One's limit was way, way lower than the others. But I decided, enough of this bullshit. I'm going to make some hot sauce that makes them cry. And so I grew some ghost peppers, and those were the
That's
base. Oh yeah, and I added something really special to it that I've never seen in any hot sauce ever: horseradish. I grew horseradish too, and so it was very volatile, very fresh, very potent horseradish, and I added that to it. So not only did it burn their mouth, which was a pleasure to them, but unknowingly it filtered up into the nasal passages.
Oh,
And-
God, that would kill me.
Oh God, I had two guys that were literally crying.
If,
And,
if
I
I
was
felt it up
kind
in
enough-
my
I-
sinuses, that would
I
kill me.
remember
I did have
grew-
milk on hand for them, but it was fun to watch them just absolutely curl up.
I remember I grew some Carolina Reapers once and took a bite of that.
Oh, I wouldn't even think of trying that. Taco Bell is too hot for me.
So one thing for if you like the taste, hummus actually works really well for getting rid of the heat.
Oh, that makes
You know-
sense. It's a little starchy.
No, it's actually the oils.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Jenny and Porpoise.
It's also a good way of getting it off your hands if you have the capsaicin on your hands and it's burning your skin. Put like some vegetable oil or any kind of other kind of oil that's not hot on, and you can rinse it off with some soap, like a dish soap that removes
that's
the
a-
oils too.
That's a
Yep.
great idea.
Sometimes
for a
you have-
riot.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do it for. Sometimes it takes a few washes, depending on how severe it is, but it works.
I don't think it's so much the milk that does it, but the fat in the milk. I think the fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
I've noticed since I've been on HRT that my sense of smell and taste has actually been improving.
Ding, 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 ding.
And that's I didn't know if this was a common thing or not, but just that I'm actually for the first time able to pick out some spices and have an idea of what spices were used in a dish. That
Well-
I couldn't do that a few years ago.
As trans women, we become a far superior creature than we were.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something that was common to happen for women on HRT or.
I wonder if we can blame the reduced sense of smell then for the toxic masculinity needing to outdo each other on spice, and also not
Yeah.
take care of their hind end.
Well, I
think
reduce
that's more
sense of
cultural.
everything. Yeah, I know.
No, there have actually been, studies done, peer-reviewed studies, that generally men's sense of taste, and especially their sense of smell, is generally much poorer than women's.
Interesting.
That's why they don't. That's because, excuse me, that is why they don't know that they stink so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mage. I don't mean to be
Yeah,
attacking
you
your
do.
whole gender, but yes, I do. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
Hey, I mean, after transition, the first time I went into a gamer space, it was a lot of people. My gosh, was it? It wasn't like a skunk smell, but it was unpleasant. It's like you could tell there was more than one person there that needed a bath.
Am I the only one who thinks that skunk smell can be not so bad sometimes?
There
We were
is
just
something
talking about
like
having a
comforting
good,
about it.
better smell, huh?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Patty?
Oh, there is something like grossly comforting about skunk smell. I don't know.
Really?
I mean, I don't know. Smells
well,
like Wisconsin to me.
One of the things that Con of the North is my favorite gaming convention that I like to do every year. And one of the things that is included, you get the sheet that, you have to agree to these terms, when your registration signifies agreement. And one of the things they put in there is that during the 3-day con, everyone is required to shower at least once.
Ew. Why do they have? No, I don't want to know why they have to say that.
Well, just that that's a common enough problem that they had to put it in the rule book.
I'm surprised a lot of these gaming cons, like someplace like Gen Con, don't have like specific booths where you can like go pick up soap and shower.
Oh,
I've always wanted to go to one of those in cosplay.
I mean, I doubt the Lucas Oil Stadium would let them do it, but
Yeah. I've had a good concept for the cosplay that, my problem is I'm just not the artistic type for making it look good. But I have figured out, how to do the skeleton and shell for the Triceratops from the original Transformers. And I figured out a way that I can do it that I actually could do the transformation wearing it.
that'd be cool.
Perp, use paper mache. You can do anything with paper mache.
Yeah, a lot of those things that do the Transformers, those costumes where they can transform, is usually made of cardboard and paper maches and
Yeah.
paint.
There was this woman.
Yeah, well, that's the part about getting the detail parts right and getting the painting. Is really, I can't really paint it to make it look right.
There was this woman on Twitter who was a what do you call it? Furries. She was a furry, and she was also an advanced seamstress, I would believe, because of the work she showed that she did. She made her own head for the costume, and it was absolutely Hollywood perfect. It was amazing to see the process that she had to go to build the thing. Holy cow!
My kiddos are furries, and they make furry costumes.
Oh yeah,
it's so fun.
What do you think about the people who go after furries? That there's some kind of perverted thing and stuff like that.
I think they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's what I think.
Well, some of them are.
Well, yeah, there's perverts in every group.
Well, pick a group, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that about the fans of most any franchise. That there's a fringe like that.
Because the first time it came to anyone's attention, it was mostly seen as a sex thing.
I mean, that does exist. Actually, I had an interesting moment at the Furry Con, which was very family friendly for my kiddos. But I was in the elevator lobby, which we were all affectionately calling Elevator Con, because that was where we all spent our time. And there was a guy standing there in like a different looking suit. Like it was a little more skin fitting versus, the big stuffed animal looking kind. I was like, oh, I like your suit. And I just went about my day. But then later I saw him from afar and I was like, oh, oh, it's one of those kind of suits.
Mhm.
So they are different. So I felt really cool having been like, oh, that is great. Whee!
All the things I've ever wanted to or had the idea to want to cosplay with are just I don't have the body for those particular
Oh, don't let that stop
choices.
you.
Oh no, I know a lot of people don't. I do. I'm very hung up about body image and stuff. So that's just my
Yeah. Well,
my albatross.
I have seen, especially like, men with the completely wrong body shape cosplaying as, women from anime and that. And, if you get the costume roughly right and you can project the attitude, it still works.
Well, like all trans women, I always wanted to grow up to be a pretty cute anime girl, but
Yep.
I just didn't get that pointy chin thing and those gigantic eyes that are like red and blue and purple and things.
And the cat ears. Don't forget the cat ears.
Oh yes, the cat ears. That's right. I actually think wearing headphones with cat ears on is very cute. I like those, especially the pink ones.
I have refused to do that.
Well,
Oh, by the way, something I wanted to mention at the top of the show and I forgot. Today is National Dimple Day,
oh, yes.
and only 20% of the population has dimples.
Get your laptop working, and we'll do a fundraiser to make sure you get your pink earphones with cat ears.
I made some out of cardboard and bled on them and washed it out a little bit.
You can buy them like that. Trust me on this.
The problem is I attached them to my head with epoxy, and I still haven't gotten them off, and people harass me all the time. And it's just... All right, I thought that would be more funny, but it wasn't.
But I'll stick with my Logitech headphones. They're good enough for these purposes.
Apple has their wireless iPhones, whatever. No, not iPhones. What do they call them?
AirPods?
Stick it in your ear. Yeah, AirPods. That's it. They're on sale for Amazon's days for regularly $250 for earbuds. They're down to $150 for earbuds. It's like, what people don't spend on that crap.
Well, the difference between OceanGate and I is I am not trying to take people to the Titanic.
Yeah.
Logitech is not good enough for deep sea diving.
So, Patty, what kind of furries do your kids go as?
They've got a bunch. There's a bunch of Dino Mask ones that have been built, but one kid is Dongo the furry, and that's a pink it's a pink Maine Coon mixed with some green snake that I'm forgetting the name of. So it's got a forked tongue, and each version she's made of it has like more snake features. And then the other kid has a cat head one. Yeah, I guess the cat head one, and then all of the Dino Masks. And then I got each of them to make me one. And so I have Stormy the squirrel, which is a blue squirrel. I love it. And I have a Dino Mask one that is Blaze the something. I forgot the name I gave it. But I was originally going to use them for climate events, like climate protest events.
Yep.
I think next show you should be required to bring those in and wear each one. For at least half the show.
I know. I've tried to reach out to the Fluffy Atheist, the one that does the furry. I think it's a dog furry, and they do atheist content from their fursuit, but I haven't gotten to connect with them yet. But I would do that. You just might have to put a bigger box or something.
I do have my Dino Mask.
Oh, good.
My Triceratops mask.
Oh, yes. Yes,
but,
yes.
And actually, before I ever did a face reveal, I had actually taken apart an old headset I had, and I had wired it for sound.
Oh, smart.
So, well, because Math Pig had wanted to interview me and, was insisting I'd be live on camera.
Oh.
So I wired up the mask for sound and I was live on camera, but I still didn't do a face reveal.
No, just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, how would you define somebody as a furry?
Well,
They don't
before we get
shave
into
enough.
Well, just someone who wants to wear a anthropomorphic animal costume.
before we get into this, I hate to disappoint everyone, but despite my name, I am not a furry.
Same here.
Do porpoises have hair? I mean, isn't that one of the mammal requirements?
No, it's not a mammal requirement.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, there are a couple of hairless mammals.
On
And I've seen
land,
snakes and bugs and stuff as furries too.
Did
could I go
you
as a
know-
cockroach?
Yes, you could.
Yes.
Did you know that there is a species of lice that only exists on blue whales?
No, I can't say that I knew that.
And-
That's-
And doing DNA testing of the lice is one of the ways they can tell which pods of whales have regular social contact with each other.
What?
so that means somebody goes
Because
down to
for
a
each
whale
pod-
and picks lice off of them.
Yeah, for each pod of whales, the lice are evolving into a separate subspecies for each isolated pod.
Mm.
I
So
do know.
by doing a DNA test, they can see, how many generations removed from each other the lice on two whales are.
I do
Wait,
know
so
that-
they're like underwater lice? Sorry.
Yeah.
I do know that human head lice and human pubic lice are different species,
Mhm.
and the human pubic lice are more closely related to pubic lice from gorillas, and the divergence is much more recent than head lice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and caseins do have hair.
I'm sorry, what?
Caseins do have hair.
Caissons?
Caseins, dolphins,
You mean
porpoises,
cetaceans.
cetaceans. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I thought whales did have a little bit of whiskers, but I couldn't remember for sure.
I love it.
I saw an interesting thing I did not know. Let's see now, what species of whale was it? Sperm whales. I believe it was sperm whales. When the baby's born, the entire pod of whales gets together and gathers into a very, very tight nose-to-nose circle and supports the baby whale above the level of the water so it can breathe for like the first 12 hours. It can't swim well enough to come up and go down and come up and go down. It needs the assistance. That was fascinating. I had no idea.
I didn't know they did it for so long. I knew that was with a lot of whales that the calf will stay on the mother's back so that every time she surfaces, the calf can get air. I wonder how the orcas are doing against the sailboats around Gibraltar. I haven't heard any updates on that.
I just read a thing about that yesterday. It turns out the orcas that tend to do that are adolescent orcas.
Yep.
And so they're just a bunch of teenage brats.
Yep.
Who teach each other the ways of nasty, and like to do that. They've also found there's pods of adult orcas that like to make friends with boats and people, and come around as their pod and are kind and friendly and all that kind of stuff, and have actually helped humans and stuff like porpoises are known to do.
So it's just a generation gap thing.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch
Damn
of
kids.
teenagers doing mindless vandalism.
Listen, maybe they've learned to hate billionaires like we all have.
Well, that's what I was always wondering about. That did this start from one that got hit by a boat?
That was one
So it decided
hypothesis.
to go after a boat, and the other one saw him doing it and decided to join in.
Right. You are now the enemy. I don't know. It just made me really happy when I found out they were going after the yachts. But
Oh, there was another great news item I ran across that a factory in Brazil was shut down because a sloth had climbed on one of the, I think it was the pipe that supplied fresh water, and in the process of climbing on the valve, had spun the wheel around and turned the valve off. So the whole factory was shut down. And since it was an endangered species, the employees were forbidden from removing the sloth. So the factory stayed shut down until the sloth decided to go away on its own.
Awesome.
I saw this one video that just really caught my heart and made me tear up. Of course, I cried at the drop of a hat. Anyway, a sloth was trying to get across the road, and all the traffic stopped, and a man came out and actually picked up the sloth and carried it to the other side of the road and put it in a tree. And the sloth reached out its hand to like shake hands and thank it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like,
I think I've
holy
seen that
fuck.
one.
I
God,
saw
animals
that video,
are so perceptive that we just don't understand. Well,
Yeah.
no,
The
we
sloth was
understand
like,
it.
"Yep,
Many
thanks
don't
for the
won't
lift."
acknowledge it.
I mean, it's the least we can do after putting a big old paved thing through their habitat,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually had an argument last week with I was on a TikTok panel, and it was like 4 different women and this guy, and people ended up talking about dogs and stuff like this and the lovely relationships with dogs. And this guy was one of those classic macho shitheads that said, "Oh, dogs don't have any feelings," and it's like, dude, you've never lived. Oh, I've had many dogs. Well, then you must have kept them outside, not treated them very well, because they have wonderful emotions and they
Yeah.
express love. They don't express love. They don't know what love is. Oh, dude, you're really broken.
I have had the same kind of thought about the people who claim that cats are always aloof. It's like if your cat is always that aloof, you haven't really made much attempt to interact with them, have you?
I had a cat that was very much aloof, and the problem was that every time I tried to take it to the bathtub and use it to scrub down, it just freaked out from the water. Yeah, that's it.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, why is it so cute?
Okay, this is a different one than I saw, because the one I saw, the one I saw, he wasn't picking it up in a sweatshirt there. He was just doing it bare hands. But yeah.
Hi, baby. Oh my gosh, they're so cool.
Yep.
Thanks, friend.
Look at that.
Yep, now he's safe in his tree, feeling secure. Thank you for the lift.
And I saw another one where a guy, the sloth baby got separated from mom, and the guy returned the baby to the mom, and the mom was just, you could see that she was ecstatic as much as a sloth can be. It was just so rewarding to watch that stuff.
It's great.
Okay. Maybe we should wrap it up here today, since we can end here on a high note.
That's fun.
I think I found the sloth video you were looking at. If you want me to play that, it's only a minute.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
You've got
Tsunami
13
says one of my
minutes
five
before the hour.
women.
Oh, kitty's making biscuits.
So that's probably the one you saw.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. And at the end, he just turns around and waves at the guy.
The woman around here who gives me rides is an extremely kind heart, and she will clamp the binders on for all she's got and stop in the middle of the road to pick up a turtle and take it to the other side of the road.
Though using a shirt or something to pick it up is probably a better idea.
Yeah, it's probably smarter.
As long as you don't lick your hands, it should be
Yeah.
okay. God, they are so ugly cute.
Exactly.
I actually had to do that once. That I was on a county highway that ran. There was a lake on each side of the road, and there was a snapping turtle in the middle of the road. I mean, a good sized one that the shell was like almost 2 feet in diameter.
Whoa.
So it's like I know enough that they can easily take a finger off. So I wanted to get it off the road. Fortunately, I still had my snow shovel in the car. So I was able to pick it up with the snow shovel and carry it over to the grass, the direction it was pointed, down to that lake. But yeah, I knew better than to try to pick that one up with my bare hands.
Snappers, yeah, they're kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
I have one more photograph to close
Okay.
close with, just to prove to you guys that we are near the Mississippi River, which of course you all doubted, But this local TV station, before you put it up, local TV station has a camera on top of a building downtown. It's maybe 7-8 stories tall, and one of the skyscrapers, and they pan it around during the day and all this kind of stuff. And often at night or in the evening, they'll point it west towards the river, and you can see the bluffs of Minnesota way in the background, and this point of the river where the Black River and the Mississippi come together. And it is just a pretty view. And this one the other night was particularly gorgeous, and I had to do a screen dump, and I'm passing it on to you guys now. This is Mississippi River at La Crosse, Wisconsin, looking west.
Okay. You put that in the Twitter group?
Yep.
Okay.
I could probably get faster.
I'm already halfway there.
Too late.
Isn't that pretty?
Yes.
Yep.
Very
And
pretty.
that whole area is a city park where they hold all the festivals and stuff. So it's very high access area, and we've all seen those Viking cruise boat commercials. This is where a 400-foot Viking cruise ship will dock.
Really?
Yeah, it's just huge. But that's across, and you can see the bluffs back there, which is my side of the river. And that little stub on the right, that's Pettibone Park, which I like to go and hang out and feed the squirrels and do other old person things.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. If you're ever looking, well, you're familiar with the place. La Crosse area, the driftless area, whether it's Minnesota or Wisconsin. Wisconsin's just bigger, but Minnesota's just as beautiful. It's just a spectacular place to live if you're into nature. Everybody is so conscientious and takes care of the environment here, and it's just wonderful. It's really neat. Eagles every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done boring you all.
No, that's good.
Oh, it's great.
That's a lovely
Staring
picture.
at it. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Makes me think of Blue Herons.
Okay, well, Jenny, do you have any final words for us today?
Yeah, I confirmed something I knew and suspected before, but AC power is always a better source for a vibrator than batteries. The torque, the level of torque that you have and consistency is just so far superior. That's all.
Yeah, but if you really get turned on by thunderstorms, there's a chance of being interrupted in the middle.
That would be a problem. Yes. Thunderstormus interruptus. Oh, it's bad. But if you time it just right and you get the thunder at the right moment, man, you've never experienced anything like that before.
There you go.
Move the
Okay,
earth.
so-
Fuck that. I'll move the whole damn sky.
So, Patty, what have you got coming up on your channel?
Actually, we are taking this Friday off, but Nancy's going to be over on HiveSci at 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That'll be fun.
Okay, well, and what are your normal show times then for other weeks? Or
Normally on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central, we either have a premiere or go live whenever we can get both Nancy and I at the same
Okay.
time. Yeah. Thanks.
Porpoise, what have you got brewing in the background?
Well, not much right now. Hopefully I'll be alive this Friday again. Or Friday I also have something else I'm doing, but I won't be doing this week. I was planning on going over a video about people who think Trump is the Antichrist, which honestly I'm having a hard time accepting that he might not be at this point, but
Yeah, you can definitely make a very solid case there.
but I don't have anything clear yet. I'm thinking tomorrow night I might do a tutorial just like setting up Blender for game programming.
Doesn't Antichrist kind of imply that there's a pro-Christ?
Well,
Maybe.
something I keep wondering about, is there some group of people who really hate the number 2?
Computer
Because-
programmers, they never use it.
Okay, well, maybe that explains it, because it's like every
one
grocery
computer.
store I go into, there's always big signs about produce, but I haven't heard of anybody who was anti-deuce.
I mean, you'll never see the number 2 in any binary number.
Isn't that
Or
pronounced
3 or 4.
produce?
Not in English.
Like that other vegetable that people put in salads, lettuce. Why do people call that the wrong name? It's lettuce.
But if you would like to subscribe to my channel and help me get the follower count up or subscriber count, it's Mad Computer Scientist, so head on over there. Although, depending on how things go, I may return to my original channel if I do not get rehired again in the fall.
Got my fingers crossed for you.
I just subbed.
701. No, that's purple 701.
Wait,
What are you
701?
up to now, Porpoise?
On that channel, let me... Well,
Oh, wait, is this the right one?
Mad Computer Scientist?
Yeah.
Give me a second, I'll check. It's at Mad Computer Scientist 1 on YouTube.
Okay, Mage, what have you got going?
On my channel, Mage's Media Musings, I will be covering The Shadow, both the radio broadcast and the movie, this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And seeing as both of them came out in July, I'm also looking at maybe a comic book to look at too.
I never saw the movie, but I remember, hearing some replays of the original radio show.
So I get to see the movie with my dad, and he was a big fan of The Shadow from the radio broadcast. And he was a kid.
On my channel, Jenni's World of Idiocy and Bullshit, we'll be doing a little story on you can use rats to power your car.
I'm sure you could, if you had enough of them.
I'm a good mechanic.
Hey, that seems pretty straightforward. You just stick one in each wheel. The only thing is you got to make sure you get them all running the same direction.
Well, no. You actually make an electric car, but you use the rat wheel to regenerate the batteries.
This is a 40 rat car. Horsepower car.
Oh, I saw this video. Oh God Almighty! Of this car. It's a car that was built strictly for racing. It is electric and it does 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds. Holy! It cruises at over 250 miles an hour, and it beats everything on the road. It's just faster, quicker, faster accelerating. It was holy cow! I'm sorry, I'm a car junkie, and that just came to mind. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
No, that's okay. I was just still on the rat-powered cars and, thinking that could give Rat Pack a new meaning.
See, how many rats would you need to power a car?
Well, see, that's what I was thinking was that, after so many miles, they would get tired, so you'd need to swap them out for a new Rat Pack.
Well, now, would that be barn rats, city rats, New York City rats, or giant rats of Sumatra?
What?
Maybe capybara. They're they're
Yeah, how about the rodents of unusual size?
And capybaras taste much better than rats.
Capybara aren't very energetic, however.
Yeah, I
yes, but they're much more docile. So
I would think that you would get the most power out of New York City rats.
Giant rats of Sumatra are about 2.5 feet long.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
but
don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just saying that.
New York City rats can run really fast, especially if you dangle a piece of pizza in front of them.
And they'll fight you for it. And win.
Okay,
Oh,
well, I don't have anything planned other than being back here again same time next week.
Same rat time, same rat channel.
be trans, do
Oh.
crime, don't get caught.
You're a little early for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do need to, thank our supporters, the people who send me a few bucks every month. So Skitzcrasher, A Very Stable Milking Stool, Regios, Junie, excuse me, G the Atheist, Robert X, Greg Hartwick, and Sandy Shore.
Sandy Shore? What a
and-
stupid name.
Well, okay, the stupid one is that we have discovered that this is not actually a very stable milking stool, but somebody has decided to impersonate him to get on Patreon and send me money.
And I will confess,
Stool knows nothing about it, but that's the handle the subscription comes up under.
I thought you told Stool about that last week.
I did. I think it's so ridiculous that of anyone, why would you impersonate Stool?
Good point. I will admit that I am Sandy Shore, and the name comes from a woman I used to date. Actually, the woman who took away my virginity. Except her last name was spelled Shorr. And I haven't seen her in 50 years.
But you just doxed her.
Well, I'm sure she has a married name by now. She was pretty into getting married and stuff.
Okay, well, thank you all
Babies
for
and all
coming.
that crap.
We will see you all next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
later.
Don't
Be
get caught.
excellent to each other.
Really, it sucks.